Syria's President Assad reportedly flees the capital as rebel forces storm into Damascus. The rebels declare the city free from Assad's 24-year rule, announcing the start of a new era for the Syrian people. Syria's prime minister says he's ready to assist with a peaceful transfer of government.
Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. I'm one of your hosts, Michelle. It's Sunday, which means we're going to go all around the world with this week's top news from the globe. Very excited about today's show. Trump and everyone, like literally everyone, went to the Notre Dame Cathedral renovation celebration, and a lot has come from that. It's hilarious, honestly. He met with Zelensky, he met with Macron, and he made Jill blush. So we're going to talk about that. And honestly, the cathedral looks amazing. When you look at the before and after pictures, which we're going to show you guys today, it really does look phenomenal. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, Damascus has fallen in Syria. Syrian rebels have taken over the country. They've been trying to do this for a long time. And Assad has fled in the middle of the night with his family. So we're going to talk about that. We've got a lot of news, world news stories here today. But before my co-host, Leah, who is coming presently, that's me patting on your seat, Leah. Come and fill it. Joins us. I do want to do a huge shout out and a thank you to everybody who has been visiting the new Resistance Chick store. It has been overwhelming. We are up until late at night filling packages and getting them shipped out. We should be caught up, hopefully, as of tonight. And so if you have placed an order so far, your package will have been mailed by tomorrow at the latest. So we're really excited about that. For those of you that don't know, Resistance Chicks General Store launched last Sunday at midnight and has been going for the last 8 days. I have a promo code, Grand Open, that saves 10% off of your order. We are going to extend that one day until tomorrow night because we lost like half of a day trying to work on the website and you guys weren't able to get there. So I thought, you know what, since we lost a half a day, I'll go ahead and extend the sale one more day. Grand Open, all caps, GRAND open at shop.resistancechicks.com. For those of you that are unaware, and we're super excited about it. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am. We have several products there. The Resistance Chicks face and body butter. That's our little mascot, Joy, the pig. We have the whole mouth care tooth salt and tooth powder. It's not just a toothpaste because it's not a paste at all. We'll talk about how you can do that. But it will help, like if you have gingivitis, if you have periodontal issues, it's like a healing thing. And then we have Leah's deodorant. She calls it Perfume Day Jesus. But everything that we have here, I want to remind you guys, is for men and women. This is not just a woman's thing. Oh my gosh, you know what I need to do, Patriot Gallery? I have to show you guys this. So for those of you, hello, bright.news, BRYT.news. We will be going, not live, but we will be doing shows over there. The Brighteon producer team, Brighteon.tv producer team, remember we were on there since 2021, actually. They have launched a new venture since Brighteon TV shut down. And with Mike Adams' blessing, and Mike Adams is on there, they have launched bright.news, BRYT.news. So we are going to be going over there. We're headed over there. I actually want to show you guys real quick their website. It looks amazing. BRYT.news. Best reports of today. You'll see some familiar faces over here. which we're really excited to be joining with. We got Ann Vandersteel, Alex Newman, of course, Dr. Artis, who we're going to be having on the program on the Outliers in a couple of weeks. Lee Merritt, of course, Tom Renz. Did I say Ann Vandersteel? And there's Leah and Michelle. Look at that, Resistance Chicks. So Bright Dot News is where it's at, and they are doing a phenomenal job over there. Oh, look, they've even got a G. Edward Griffin clip there to go to the Need to Know News, the Red Pill University. That's amazing. But over the producers over there, I just randomly, offhandedly told them about our store venture, and I sent them the website. And Bob Denny over there, who's running the whole thing, sends me back this, and I just still can't believe it. He makes a commercial. He said he did this in a very short period of time. I don't know if he used AI or not. But don't ask, don't tell. I don't want to know. Okay, I'm pulling this up here. Let me open this in a new tab. So I'm going to download this and we're going to be using it just because they did it for free. But I'm so excited about it because it is super fun. Come on. Let's see if I can just download it right now. Nope. Wait. Shh. So for those of you that have not heard about our new products, I do want to tell you, my favorite product that we have on there, which is the whole reason why I launched the store, is our healing oil for the soul. And I was working on making them, and the devil tried to stop me. The devil tried to stop me from making them and crashed the website. It was terrible. Huge shout out to Charlie for helping. Huge shout out to Abigail's mom. Or dad, excuse me, Abigail's dad for helping. And we got everything back up and running and we can now get our orders out. But once I got back to making the oils, everything inside of me was like, oh my gosh, right? Like this is what I'm called to do. It fills my whole senses. So I really want to encourage you guys, if you have not ordered the healing oil, Healing for the Soul, please go and order it if you're at all interested in it. I think that you will be as blessed as I am by it. So I've downloaded this commercial and I'm going to play it. And I just can't believe they did this for us. It's so cool. All right, here we go.
The long wait is over and it's finally open. The Resistance Chicks General Store. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Sisters Leah and Michelle Svensson have been making their own home, health, and personal care products for well over a decade and are now bringing you everything you've been asking for, like the Oil of Joy Original Collection, deodorant for men and women, face and body soap, lavender oatmeal, homestead hands, face and body butter, Oil of Joy, soap products, and much, much more. These products are amazing and so good for your skin. We realize that many of our health issues can be traced back to the harmful chemicals and ingredients in most of the products on the shelves today. But even more than that, we believe that our Creator, God the Father, gave us everything for life and godliness, and He desires for us to work with our hands, to take joy in the gifts He has given us in this earth to enrich our daily lives. To learn more about all of these amazing products, visit shop.resistancechicks.com and place your order today before quantities are sold out. You deserve to treat yourself to the best spa day ever. You deserve the products from the Resistance Chicks Joy Collection, only at the Resistance Chicks General Store. Is any sick among you? Let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord, and the prayer of faith shall heal the sick.
It's the greatest thing ever.
Okay, that is super creepy. I could tell when
Leah, don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud.
I have to. Michelle,
no.
We are the conspiracy
We don't
theorists.
do AI. Okay?
We don't do AI. Shh. Michelle,
listen.
you have to tell the people.
Food sacrificed to idols. If you don't know it, then you can eat it.
No, you didn't do it.
I didn't do it.
You did not put that together. You did not.
But it's so fun.
But it is AI and it's creepy and it's weird.
Donna Libby, thank you for your order. I know Donna made an order. Oh, and Mark says, thank you, Michelle. I messaged you back on Messenger. I just got one. I'm so glad. That's awesome. Speaking of the healing oil for the joy, it helps with your endocrine system. It helps with depression, anxiety, just overall amazing. It does. There's so many things it does. I haven't even had time to list it all on the website because I just wanted to get it up and running. But I was putting your deodorant on today. You know how Leah had me write the descriptions and she's like, go ahead and rub it in those pits. She literally wrote that. Those are Leah's words, which I'm glad AI didn't choose that out of everything that we wrote. It smells amazing. I can't even with you right now.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it.
All right,
Okay.
so Leah, I have given them
The rundown. Oh my gosh, the whole world is falling apart. Sorry. Craziness is happening this week.
I talked to them about Assad. We've talked about Donald Trump in the Notre Dame. That was dyslexia. Notre Dame Cathedral celebration and him meeting with Zelensky and Macron and making Jill blush. So I know it's hilarious. We're going to show you everything.
She is something, isn't she? Joe Biden was not there because they couldn't get him awake. Okay. He went to Africa, remember, on Friday, fell asleep with the president of
I just think it's weird that Jill
Angola,
went
I think.
and Joe didn't. And Jill is there as a world leader.
And Ashley Biden. Ashley Biden, the diary girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, her.
Mom, what are you doing with fistfuls of toilet paper?
With her hair.
She does. I was thinking the same
gosh,
thing.
She looks 20 years younger, doesn't she?
Look at her looking.
I
like
didn't do
that.
anything, so maybe I should do more of nothing.
I just thought when you do talk about Syria, you have to mention that these countries were made up. Mm-hmm. They were part of the Ottoman Empire, and when it fell, or when Hitler fell, I don't know. You know all about it. That don't cry over all these countries because they're like made up.
I don't think anybody's like we're not crying over Syria.
You know, I mean, they weren't there 100 years ago.
Tears in your cup over Syria, anyone? Happy holidays, which is there's only one holiday happening right now. There's two actually. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
And thank you to the Jenkins family who sent us Christmas card. You're ready? Leah and Michelle, hope your holidays are filled with the joys of the season. Love you, ladies. God's blessing and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. David and Mary Jenkins. I just saw her Facebook post that she got her Christmas cards out, and I raised my hand and I said, I got mine, so thank you.
Early girl.
She is early.
Now, I can tell you something.
I'm getting Christmas cards out this year.
Now, I can tell you something about people and their Christmas cards.
What do you mean?
Those people that get their Christmas cards out in the first week of December.
It's the 8th.
You can always. They got
she
them
did, yeah,
out.
because we've had this for a few days.
And she got them out, and then you received it. Mm-hmm. Those are the women in the church that if you need something done,
They're getting it done.
they're going to get it done. If you need a potluck, she's going to organize it. She's going to have the tablecloth. She's going to have the silverware. She's going to have everything perfect. The world does not run
without the women that get their Christmas cards out in the first week of December.
Without the Jenkins, because things don't get done on time.
No, they don't.
They do not. They do not. So to all those people who get your Christmas cards out, period. Well done. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of the Lord.
I'm kind of having a little, and we're going to get to the world news here in a second. I'm kind of having we're a variety show. I just interrupted myself. I'm having a little bit of a like, not a panic attack, but like normally this time of year, I start writing our Christmas letter, right? And I get out all the labels and I'm printing out addresses and I take a picture and we print out the pictures and I'm getting it all together for both our pet sitting business and our family friends. Mm-hmm. And it's a big to do and I love it. I love it. But I'm stressing over it because I want them to get there before Christmas.
And they don't.
And well, some of them do, but most of them don't. And I'm working on them like every night, and I'm getting them out because I write it's like I'm writing a letter to every person. We got like 200 people I'm sending these cards to.
She does,
and I love it. I love it. And I'm thinking, and I'm staying up late at night working on shipping your packages for the store out, thinking to myself, ain't nobody getting no Christmas cards this year. I don't know what's gonna happen. Although I was looking at our pet sitting calendar, and if no one calls, it lightens up in a couple of weeks, so we may be able to just full steam ahead, get the store going, and shipping packages, and I can do my Christmas cards.
So I'll tell you what, today I was able to do the show out in our, put it together.
Christmas shed.
In our Christmas shed with
so
a little
cute.
manger scene and a little chair. And it was just warm enough because it's been so cold. We had this huge cold snap. Raise your hand if you were part of that bitter cold. Wind chills of temperatures that don't exist. You see, like when your wind chill goes below 0, it's not a temperature anymore.
Isn't that
and so I got to sit in that
so
little chair. It was
cute?
nice, and the sun was shining on me.
It's a greenhouse. It's a polytunnel greenhouse on our deck, but we decorated it for Christmas.
So I will tell you why I was late, because I got the show together and then I fell asleep
You didn't.
in the chair.
Leah.
Yeah, I did. It was so nice. It was so nice. And so Mom's like, hey, you look so nice. That's great. I had this all messy French braid. I just like took it down and just slapped on some makeup.
You've fallen asleep on
And
the
I'll tell
job.
you what I did use and what helps. Vicky Natali's makeup remover, because when I looked in the mirror, it looked like this was NFL Sunday from yesterday's makeup at the Christmas parade. So I was like, oh, wow. And that was just a few minutes ago. So here we go. Just a few moments ago.
Sherry wants to know what you're drinking. She's having lemon ginger tea.
I don't know what this is. I believe
You're not ever supposed to drink something you don't know what it is.
I put a lot of stuff in things.
She does, though. It's gross. She threw
I'll tell you
water
what's
on
in
a
here.
dog yesterday to stop a little dog tussle. And then I saw the dog later and I was like, what's wrong with this dog? And she's like, I threw water on it. I said, I wouldn't
little bit of
see
tea.
water. I wouldn't see. You don't see water.
It was a little tea water.
There was
I
like
drink weird
stuff.
things.
Leah put
It's
so much weird
cinnamon
stuff.
tea with a little shake of cayenne and
That's dumb.
maca powder.
That's yucky.
And the Energize from
Oh, well, that's
because
all right.
I just woke up from
My
Dr.
go-to stack.
Yeah, it actually does. It does really help, actually. So Syria. Now, we have. I don't know. We've gone viral talking about Syria before. In 2017, I did. Is that whatever that is? Can that be chewed on? Just making sure.
Unfortunately, yes, but then Matt ends up having to clean it up. But
Just
it's
sticks.
so we have a wood burning stove. We heat with wood here,
Archie.
and we have a
Is that
dog
Archie
here
over
that
there?
likes to chew on stuff. And so Matt has come out to piles of wood all over chewed on,
Okay. Well,
like bark.
seems bark. Okay, should be okay. Should be okay as long as it's not a shoe. And the inner sole. Why do dogs take the soles out of the inside of the shoe?
Because they're soulless.
I don't know. Do all dogs go to heaven? I think they do. I think they have.
All right, let's get back to Syria.
Okay, so in 2017, Donald Trump was getting ready to bomb Syria, and we had already done some deep dives. I believe at that point where the 7 countries in 5 years, and we could all see that anybody who had eyes could see that the CIA was working to overthrow Assad. Now, here's the thing: every dictator has people that don't like them. Okay, pumpkin.
That's why they're called dictators.
Dictator. Now, so you don't just overthrow a leader that's universally liked or that is democratically elected and kept in power from fairness and the rule of law. Okay. So when the American CIA, which is the globalist, decide that they would like to topple the governments of 7 countries, they don't go looking for the stable ones. They don't go looking for the ones that
They're not going to topple France.
are, great bastions of democracy and freedom. They're going to go for the ones that are weak in that a dictatorship is always a weak government. Okay, because if you're willing to have total control over people, then somebody else is willing to. Well, the one thing that has not been resolved in all of our reporting on Syria, and this goes back years, and we haven't reported on Syria in a long time, is why the U.S.-backed coup
machine
wants to overthrow Syria. We could even Iraq,
oil.
we still don't understand. Yeah, well, do we really have their oil? That one doesn't make sense. A lot of these things don't make sense to us. And I think it's because some of the reasoning is just beyond something that you and I can comprehend. It's somebody else's reason. Right? It's not a universal
No, I think we could
reason.
understand
It's
it
not a
if we knew
globalist reason.
it. What you mean is it's a hidden reason.
That's what I mean. It's not a universal reason like oil, money,
Yeah, but if we knew it, we
power.
could comprehend it. Is all I'm saying. It's probably just something that's hidden. We don't know it yet.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are universal things that people want. Oil. They're universal energy. Okay, people say, well, hey, is there a gold mine there? Oh, well, that would make sense. What is there in Syria that makes sense to need to topple Assad? Is it because there's something in Syria? Is it because there's something, a power dynamic? Now, I will tell you something that I'm very cautious when anybody says things about Israel. I don't like it. You guys know this.
I mean, against them.
Against making Israel the bad guy about everything. But with Israel bordering Syria and Benjamin Netanyahu coming out basically saying we've helped get Assad out, there's not much to say here. I mean, it's in his own words. And when they're using jihadists, Michelle, I don't know if you can bring this guy up.
I got him.
So this is Abu Mohammed al-Jalani. He is quote unquote ex-Al-Qaeda. I don't know how, just because Al-Qaeda supposedly doesn't exist anymore. I don't know how you become ex-Al-Qaeda. You're just a jihadist. You're just a terrorist. A leopard doesn't change its spots. So he is a jihadist, an Islamist terrorist who supposedly is he's the Zelensky of this coup.
Even looks like Zelensky. It totally could be a deep fake. Look at that. I mean, take the beard off.
He began his terrorist activity after being inspired by 9/11. Guys, you're not going to pee on my foot and tell me it's raining.
You told me I'm not supposed to say that anymore.
I never said you couldn't say that. That's a very good analogy.
No, I think
do
Catherine
not
did.
Because Catherine probably said don't say that, but we were on dogs at the time, so it happens, right? You're not going to tell me that this is a good guy. You're not going to tell me that this is a good thing. You're not going to tell me to stand up and cheer. What you're going to tell me is the truth, which is whatever is happening here is to destabilize a region and not to bring about some sort of freedom. Iranians need freedom. I don't know. I think there's a push, there's a tug of war in how that happens. Okay. And the saber rattling against Iran is designed by the globalists to get us to see Iran as the bad guys who don't want to have anything to do with America and want death to America, which is absolutely true. And there's a lot of radical Islamists in Iran. And the government of Iran is run by crazy dictators, and it would be great to see them gone. But if you've got jihadists coming in, or Al-Qaeda coming in, you're not going to see the women going without hijab. You're going to see them going from just the hijab to the niqab, which is all the black covering, yeah. Right? Which is what is happening in Afghanistan now, right? So in Afghanistan, women are treated less than dogs, and it is absolutely one of the most horrible places for women to be. That being said, I remember Horatio saying that his parents took a VW bus around Afghanistan in like the 80s or 90s or something. Like it was just like kind of like one of those places that you could go, right? And you could go. I mean, in the 70s, Iran was overthrown with the revolution in 79. Before that, you could wear mini skirts. You could wear the go-go boots. You could go to the beaches. It was relatively normal place. People, the Middle East wanted to be normal, I guess.
We say Western.
Western.
So we're not normal either.
And so you've got thousands of refugee men are celebrating across Europe. So this is from Tommy's admin page. If you're alarmed by this, it's because you're far right. And this is what has me, I'm not going to jump up and down. That's South Korea. Crazy things are happening around the world. This is one of those weeks where there are about 5 huge news stories happening around the world. This is the place to be if you want to know what's happening around the world. So if you go over here, Michelle, to these Twitters right before the 3 YouTubes.
Got it.
So 3 over, 1 to the left. We'll go back to that one. Here are Syrian sympathizers taking to the streets in London. I don't believe that these are probably the people that So the question is, and I think you want to go to the one to the left of that. Nope. What are the one to the left of that? We're coming back in a second. Are these Syrian refugees going to go home? I want to play this one real quick.
11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who had used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
And so what you're seeing here right now is the Biden regime. Now, this is General Wesley Clark in 2014. I believe it's 2014. And he's telling us their game plan. And I believe that they think that the last person, here's this next one from Sky News in Manchester, the powers that be are seeing that Trump is coming into office in January. And so they had to push and they had to say,
I was thinking the same thing.
Go now.
Because if you don't go now, it's not going to happen at all.
Right.
Well, we're just showing you some of the pictures here, Matt, because you can see a few hundred people have gathered here for these celebrations. It may be a bitterly cold day here in Manchester, but I tell you what, that's not putting off people turning out here. We're expecting many hundreds to come here. There's also a Christmas parade in Manchester as well, but lots of road closures, but they have got here, and there is music. We've just had fireworks and singing and chanting. People are just jubilant at this news that they're waking up to today, the toppling of that regime that has been in place for well over half a century. And we've been hearing from some speakers as well, a woman called Amina, and she said she was part of this regime. She had to fled the Syrian regime. She had to flee over here to the UK, and she was in detention for a while. She was passionately speaking about that experience, and 3 of her brothers were killed in that regime. So there's a lot of people affected here in the UK, as you have mentioned there. You know, this has been such a huge regime that has dominated Syria for so many years, and people have come out because they are overjoyed at what's happened. So you can hear now.
Okay, so just turn her down and you can just watch for a second. Damascus has fallen. This is from Zero Hedge. Unverified reports say President Assad and top officials have fled to Dubai or elsewhere, but the situation overnight is fluid and anything but clear in terms of location of top leadership. They may be in Latakia, where's that, or on the coast, or headed there. What is clear, however, is that the jihadis have entered the heart of the capital. This brings to an end the last secular and Ba'athist state in the Middle East and 50 years of the Assad family rule. This was Syria under Assad may have been a dictatorship, but it was not an Islamic rule dictatorship. Okay, just putting it out there. Journalist Danny Mackey, who is currently in Damascus, observes literally Syrian military security around Damascus just fled, ran away, changed into civilian clothes, escaped. There was no battle for Damascus. It was abandoned, and by tomorrow, which is today now, it will all be under opposition control. Michelle, you can go ahead and go over to the Zero Hedge article over here if you'd like to. Al Jazeera reports Videos from the Syrian capital, verified by Al Jazeera, appears to show soldiers leaving the city. The sound of gunfire could also be heard. The footage was taken moments before opposition forces claimed entering Damascus. There's been no confirmation or denial from government forces. Syrian rebel sources tell Al Jazeera Arabic that government forces have withdrawn from the defense ministry headquarters in Damascus. The report further indicates state TV channels are in the hands of the anti-Assad factions. There's another video here which says the building of the Ministry of Internal Affairs in Damascus came under the control of rebels. That's the whole Assad family, looked like from the late 80s there. And then this one's, the next video here is stamp my passport myself. Damascus International Airport completely empty of all staff and security. Oh my God.
احنا راكضين وين راكضين ما احناش عارفين. العالم طقت من لبشه.
Wow. That's interesting.
يا عمي انتوا وين تركضوا؟ وين رايحين؟ وين رايحين؟
Okay, they scroll down scenes from Umayyad Square in central Damascus. You do have people out celebrating. You can mute it. There are widespread reports that jihadist forces under Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, and which are backed by Turkey, have entered key districts of the Homs in central Syria, and other convoys have already reached the outskirts of Damascus. Very little fighting actually took place with this coup, with the Syrian army peeling back from position after position, and with heavy equipment including tanks seen being transported to the capital or in other instances to the coast. Zero Hedge contacts in Damascus strongly suggest a transition to power deal has already been made. External discussions are centered in Doha. And some premature and unverified reports have claimed President Bashar al-Assad has already, and he has actually, flown out of the country. However, Syrian state media on Saturday had actually sought to refute that. I guess they didn't want people to panic just yet. Iranian advisors and the IRGC officers have departed from Damascus. This also partly explains why Syrian national forces have not put up much of a fight. Verified social media reports further say that anti-Assad forces have essentially been able to walk into suburban or countryside areas of the capital with no resistance. Again, this points likely to a secret deal.
So this map is the collapse of Syria over the past 10 days. Wow.
Yeah, whatever happens next, it is becoming clear that the Ba'athist Syrian state under the Assad family, which goes back to 1970, when Hafez Assad first emerged in power, will never be the same again, and is coming to a fast end. They did it. They really, the Biden people were able to do it. They did it. You do have cheering. You do have two different sides here. Many happy Christian, Alawite, and Sunni ruling families in the capital area, or many, I don't know why I put happy there, but many Christians are fleeing to the Lebanese border, not waiting around to take their chances under the Taliban-style rule, despite dubious claims that the HTS plans to respect diversity and pluralism. Footage from key suburbs outside the capital. Anti-Assad protesters bring down the Hafez Assad statue in the middle of Jarma. The embassy statement, denial of allegations made in the Wall Street Journal, Jordan Embassy says, we strongly deny the baseless allegations made in the Wall Street Journal article titled Syrian Rebels Advance on Third Major City and Growing Threat to Assad by Isabel Coles, that the claim that Jordanian officials urged President Assad to leave Syria and form a government in exile is entirely unfounded and false. Interesting there. Regional war correspondent Elijah Magir observes, it looks like what will remain of the old Syria will be limited to Homs for now, and on longer term, Latakia, the tourists only. Lebanon should think about defending its borders. People in Damascus should think of their future in the next 24 to 48 hours. And from the Syrian presidency's office on yesterday morning, it said the presidency of the Syrian Arab Republic affirms that Bashar al-Assad is assuming his work, national and constitutional attacks from the capital. So that was weird that they would say that just yesterday.
Syrian military commanders make a video statement. Our valiant army continues to carry out its operations against terrorist gatherings at high rates in the directions of Hama and Homs, countryside, and the northern Dara countryside, inflicting hundreds. Hang on, let me pop this open so you can read the rest of that. Hundreds of deaths and injuries on the terrorists. Interesting.
Yeah. Trump has weighed in, and very interesting that he has said this is not our fight. There is an update here at last night from Zero Hedge. Damascus has fallen. And yeah, no, that was it. So yeah, that not much of an update there. But Trump has said this is not our fight. And where opposition fighters in Syria in an unprecedented move have totally taken over numerous cities in a highly coordinated offensive and are now on the outskirts of Damascus, obviously preparing to make a very big move toward taking out Assad, Trump said in a statement on Truth Social. Trump emphasized that Washington should stay out completely, calling the situation a mess and that it is not our fight. It alludes to Russia's inability to continue protecting Syria, which Putin had been helping keep Assad in power, given it is bogged down in the nearly 3-year war in Ukraine. And while also blasting Obama's past Syrian policy. So Trump says, go ahead and read that, Russia, because they are so tied up in Ukraine and with the loss of over 600,000 soldiers, seems incapable of stopping this literal march through Syria, a country they have protected for years. This is where former President Obama refused to honor his commitment of protecting the red line in the sand, and all, well, you can say hell broke loose, out with Russia stepping in. But now they are, like possibly Assad himself, being forced out, and it may actually be the best thing that can happen to them. There was never much of a benefit in Syria for Russia other than to make Obama look really stupid.
That's very Trumpy of him.
Trump wrote this himself. This was not from a press secretary. Syria is a mess, but is not our friend, and the United States should have nothing to do with it. This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved. It must be remembered that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the HTS, the group backed by NATO member Turkey and leading this anti-Assad onslaught, is a U.S. designated terror organization.
Nice.
So, guys, things are not adding up here, right? So the big question is what comes next. While this U.S. labeled terror organization that seems to be backed by globalists has morphed in from Syrian al-Qaeda, it is trying to present to the West a softer image. They've hired some wonderful propagandists, claiming that it will protect minorities, including Christians. However, a recent past clearly demonstrates that it rules territories under its control with a Taliban-style force. Guys, they already tore down Christmas trees. Listen, if you're tearing down Christmas trees, you have a bad spirit. Much of the nation's population until now has stuck with Assad, given the alternative is Somalia-style fracturing and rule by competing jihadist warlords. This is like what's happening in South America, where you're trying to get control over these competing like gang members, right? And that's why you have a Bukele, right. That's why you have a Bolsonaro, and that's why you have a Milei, right? Mm-hmm. Argentina being a little bit more in control of its population. But Bukele came in because they actually had a strong Christian population to begin with.
You can only do it with the power of God.
And if you don't have a strong Christian population, you can't take down evil.
Right.
Except the U.S. has backed these Islamic rebels for the very purpose of removing Assad, who has protected the Christians in Syria. And for that purpose, we should remove all support from the rebels. This is from Friar Michael Lilly. Currently, U.S. forces still occupy 1/3 of Syria in the oil and gas areas of the Northeast. During Trump's first term, he expressed an effort to bring the troops home, but it's widely reported that he was stymied by his generals and national security officials. So I think it's safe to assume oil and gas are part of it. Right?
I think that's very, very safe
assumption there.
They're not doing it out of the goodness or just pure evilness of
the
their
goodness
heart.
of your heart. Well, here, this Irishman is going to
motive.
ask in Dublin, it's going to ask those celebrating, hey, would you like to turn? Would you like to go back to Syria? And they say, no, the economic situation isn't so good. I'd like to stay here in Ireland.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
But you're going to celebrate the overthrow of Assad and live off of the Irish people.
What's going on here?
What's this all about?
So for the past few decades, we've been under constant oppression by Bashar al-Assad, the dictator of Syria.
Yeah.
He's been imprisoning civilians. He's been murdering, torturing, massacring everybody left and right.
Everybody.
So since this morning, since 2 a.m., we've reclaimed Damascus being the capital of Syria.
Yes, yeah, I understand.
So the entire country is free.
So is it free now?
We are free now.
So finally. So now does that mean all you go back to Syria now?
The economic situation isn't good.
Okay. So it's economic reasons. You're in Ireland, economic reasons.
We hope we can go back. We wish we can go back.
I'm sure you can go back now that you're free from
Finally.
occupation or whatever dictatorship. Like there you go. Syria is free from the war. They can go back to it.
You know the worst thing about the about the refugee program? I just read an article that the past few years they have not held the Irish
Red Hair Festival? What?
Ireland used to have a Red Hair Festival. I'll just retweet this. In Crosshaven, County Cork, which whimsically began 20 years ago for a vibrant celebration of all things ginger. They stopped doing it a few years ago due to the pernicious lie of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Stop it.
Corporate sponsors for funding disappeared, completely dried up amidst the lies of multiculturalism and white people are the devil. The festival plans a comeback. In a post by Patrick Downs, he suggested there's something planned for 2025. I believe that there should always be a national get-together for real redheads, real gingers, real carrot tops, and everyone from around the world should go and meet their relatives.
I love it.
Because it's such a rare gene.
It is, yeah. Especially the red hair, green eyed gene. It's like it's the rarest in the world.
I know, and you don't really see red hair without blue eyes and green eyes. Like, you don't see a lot of red hair, brown eyed people. It's just the way that the genetics work, right?
Yeah.
So our family has a lot of redheads.
And green eyes.
And because my grandma's Irish. So she came over and she didn't have red hair, but she had 3 kids with red hair who had 4 grandkids with red hair and green eyes. And
mom has green eyes.
Yeah.
And, you know,
mom has the Irish smile.
She has dishwater blonde, but there are so many pictures of her when she's a kid that it definitely looks red to me. Like it's not, but like, so even she kind of has it.
The Irish eyes are smiling.
You're funny.
And sending the Syrians home. All right. The Valley of Christian Syria, home to the Christian communities, right to the right of you there. Should be. Rooted in the early church of St. Peter and St. Paul, has fallen into the hands of jihadists this evening. I will continue to ask for your prayers. The Christian population is scared, sorry, and sacred, right?
And is fearing for what is coming next. I have to tell you, that's my biggest concern. When we were covering Syria in 2017, and it was one of our top stories for almost the entire year, like I said, Julian Assange actually retweeted our coverage of it and said that it was awesome. Very humbling experience for Leah and I. I'm not going to lie.
Going to keep telling you that. Forever.
It's our one claim to fame. But we were doing deep reporting on that, and even Caitlin Johnston had shared what we were uncovering and what we had there. Leah, it was really, really investigative journalism that Leah did back then. Not that you're not doing it right now, but that was the real deal.
It was, and honestly, what I felt, we were some of the first. I think the first, and that's why the first to put together the Bana Alabed scheme.
Yeah.
Where they were using this young little girl to say horrible things about Assad.
CNN was doing it. But my point in bringing that up is that
we broke a story.
No. When we were talking about it at the time.
I'm not saying that that's not the point. I'm saying it as an aside. Yes, we did. We broke a story.
The reason why I'm bringing it up right now is that
we got to do
at
real
the time,
journalism.
I think it was even at the very first Red Pill Expo that we went to, we were interviewing a lady who was from Syria.
No, Iran.
And she talked about how even in Syria, there, the Christians and they like all celebrated the same, like the Muslims, the Islamists would celebrate Christmas and the Christians would celebrate the holidays of Islam. Right. And it was just this kind of, if you want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you want to talk about a melting pot of
I forgot
tolerance.
that conversation. Yeah,
right?
that's what she. Yeah,
a melting pot of tolerance. Syria was it because you could have the Muslims living with the Christians and all of that. And what you're going to see now, barring a move of God, is Syria is going to go the way that Iran has gone. And you will see the implementations of
Islamic law.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Sharia law.
So you understand, I don't believe there might be some in Turkey. There's not a lot of Christmas trees up across the Middle East. There might be some in Turkey. Turkey has a little bit of a secular vibe to it. Allowing some Christians to do some stuff, but by and large, I don't even know there's Christmas trees allowed in Israel. Now, I want you to hear what Alice Satan here has to say through a man named Benjamin Netanyahu, and just listen. This is a forked tongue here, and it's. I almost don't want to play it.
This is a historic day for the Middle East. The collapse of the Assad regime, the tyranny in Damascus, offers great opportunity, but also is fraught with significant dangers. This collapse is a direct result of our forceful action against Hezbollah and Iran, Assad's main supporters. It set off a chain reaction of all those who want to free themselves from this tyranny and its oppression. But it also means we have to take action against possible threats. One of them is the collapse of the Separation of Forces Agreement from 1974 between Israel and Syria. This agreement held for 50 years. Last night it collapsed. The Syrian army abandoned its positions. We gave the Israeli army the order to take over these positions to ensure that no hostile force embeds itself right next to the border of Israel. This is a temporary defensive position until a suitable arrangement is found. Equally, we send a hand of peace to all those beyond our border in Syria, to the Druze, to the Kurds, to the Christians, and to the Muslims who want to live in peace with Israel. We're going to follow events very carefully. If we can establish neighborly relations and a peaceful relations with the new forces emerging in Syria, that's our desire. But if we do not, we'll do whatever it takes to defend the state of Israel and the border of Israel.
So they're happy about it, and they're hoping that they'll gain some territory, I think. This is from J.D. Vance here. He's retweeting Josh Rogan, not Joe Rogan, who says, Syria is free, the rebels won, the people liberated themselves from tyranny, freedom won, Russia, Iran, Hezbollah, and Assad lost. Historic, the road ahead for Syria won't be easy, but it will be better than the past. The world should celebrate Syria's liberation and help it succeed. There's a lot of clues there, right? Ukraine's going to beat Russia, all these different things. I think that's on his next tweet, actually. Ukraine is going to win too. Let's hope it doesn't take 14 years like it did for the Syrians. If we had helped the Syrians more, this would have happened sooner. Let's not make the same mistake with Ukraine now. Dictatorships are brittle. People refuse to live on their knees, yada, yada, yada. As J.D. Vance says, as President Trump said, this is not our fight and we should stay out of it. Aside from that, opinions like the below make me nervous. The last time this guy was celebrating events in Syria, we saw the mass slaughter of Christians and a refugee crisis that destabilized Europe. And then that was when ISIS took over, right? So he was celebrating ISIS. Here we have, wait, nope, not going to come back to that one. This is Russian soldiers surrounded by Syrian rebels coming under attack near Tartus. Not all Russians have managed to leave, taken by surprise by the quick collapse of Assad's forces in Tartus and how would you say that? Latakia. Many Russians never managed to leave in time, so they're taking on fire as we speak. If you go to the next one, Islamic terrorists in Syria are emptying prisons. Go wherever you want. Don't be afraid. Uncle, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
This is 3 minutes long.
Just play a little bit of it. You can just kind of skip a little bit through it. So women?
The women are crying.
Women were in prison? No, this is a prison.
They just said they're crying.
I know. So are they getting out? And why were they in prison? That's a good question. Just play it. Interesting.
He said for you, the women came out. I don't know if the women were coming in there to...
He's telling them that, don't worry, the women are out of prison too. So here we have a mass celebration in Sweden right now. Their side won, so I expect them to all move back to Syria shortly. This is just so weird. Listen, Middle East. When are you going to have one country where people like in Sweden want to go and just like even vacation, much less go and live off of you? Like, this is what is wrong. This is why we talk about Islam being a different kind of religion than Christianity. You go to the Christian countries. Nobody flees to, except for Dubai, a Islamic country for safety or security.
Or prosperity.
Or prosperity. Praying for all the Christians in Syria tonight. This is a video I wanted to show you from a Christian church in Syria. This is not like a happening right now video.
In this village in Syria, they still speak the same language of Jesus Christ from biblical times. I'm here in Malula, where they speak Aramaic, and linguists believe this town is most similar to the original language due to its isolation in the Syrian mountains. This is what it sounds like.
My name is Michael.
Roughly 10% of Syrians are Christians, and Syria was actually a Christian majority before being conquered by Muslim Arabs. During the civil war, places like Malula were under attack by jihadist groups. They looted and destroyed most of the artifacts, but with the help of NGOs, they are working to rebuild the churches and recreate the art. The town is built right into a cliff, and many of the homes and churches are built into the rocks, the same caves that many Christians used to hide in from persecution.
While we were here, we met some of the local residents who said prayers for us in Aramaic, including Michael, a shopkeeper, who was so incredibly kind and welcoming.
Aramaic is now classified as endangered by UNESCO, and many of the younger people couldn't speak it. The Civil War put further pressure on the language, forcing many Malula residents to leave, putting the language in danger of dying out if more people are not able to pass it down to future generations.
Wow.
So that's the fear, right? That the Christians will lose everything.
I mean, it's interesting, Leah, when we talk about Christians.
Mm-hmm. We're not talking about Joel Osteen Christians.
When I think of, like, I'll be honest, you know, I have to. It's like a language interpretation in my head. Mm-hmm. I have to retrain myself when I hear Christians to not think westernized. Mm-hmm. These are historically like Arabic people, mm-hmm. and they're not, these people have a love for Jesus mm-hmm. that is ingrained in their society mm-hmm. in a way that I don't even think America understands. Like, yes, mm-hmm. America is a Christian nation, but a lot of these Christians, like, it's so deep for them. It's mm-hmm. not like they just got saved. Does that make sense? Like, so a lot of Christianity spreads here in the United States by, you know, people becoming Christians every single day, right? And so it kind of perpetuates and it grows and it spreads. These people are Christians because it's like culturally in them mm-hmm. to be it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it really does. One more video, then I'm going to play a little video from Fox News kind of explain it. Syrians broke into Assad's private home for some shopping. They discuss where the women's and men's departments are and rejoice of being able to buy Louis Vuitton clothes at discount prices, I guess.
You're kidding.
It was her room, or at least it was her room, haha. This is the men's section. Interesting.
Discounts.
Interesting.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I mean, that feels so like violating. It's not even funny to me. Could you imagine someone coming into your home and going through your clothes and taking them? Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, I want to start here. You can just start from Fox News. Kind of this I guess, I don't know, army soldier guy here.
Let's go to Ryan
really
Morrow. He's an investigative researcher of extremist groups and foreign threats at the Capital Research Center. And he joins us now. Ryan, I'd love to start with the question which you're probably the most qualified to discuss with us this morning, and that is understanding who might just be taking over Syria. If it is true now that the regime in Syria is turning over, the Assad regime after 24 years is losing power, what do we know about the extremist groups who've been waging this campaign now for, 12 years and look like they could be taking power in Syria?
Right, well, the one that's getting the most attention because they're leading the fight in Damascus and taking over places is called HTS. It's a Turkey-backed jihadist group that used to be part of Al-Qaeda. And the only reason that they're not part of Al-Qaeda is because Al-Qaeda was not so popular with those that it wanted to ally with. So you're talking about essentially Al-Qaeda backed by Turkey taking over a large part of Syria anyway. Some people are characterizing it as a complete takeover, but that's actually not true. There are other rebel groups, including ones that have long worked with the United States. There's some that have even worked with Israel. So there are alternatives here. So when we talk about the rebels, it's not like a single thing.
You know, one of the things I've been thinking about is what is best for the people in Syria. How do we know that this group or some combination of the other rebel groups is going to, in the long run, be better? And also, I'm concerned about the Christian minority. These are ancient Christian groups. Some people say they were better or at least somewhat protected under Assad and that now they'll be exposed. But then I've seen contradictory things. Where does that stand?
Well, in regards to the Christians, which is about 10% of the population,
right,
there is a divide. And there are some that favor Assad's rule, not because they love what he's doing to his people. I mean, it's just horrific. The numbers, the torture, it's just unbelievable. He's like a supervillain on the worst scale. But because they fear that the jihadist rebels are going to try to exterminate them.
Yeah.
Now, HTS, the Al-Qaeda type group, is trying to have better PR and be more strategic and diplomatic than Al-Qaeda, and is saying we're going to protect the Christians. We'll see about that. But really, the only alternative to in this particular scenario that we have, because the Assad regime is basically gone, is to support groups like the Syrian Democratic Forces, which includes a Christian component. Allied with Sunni Arabs and allied with Kurds, and has long worked with the United States and controls most of the oil and gas. So to me, it seems like that's the most, backing them seems to be the most obvious option. I don't think that we can take a position of not getting involved because we're already involved. We already have military forces operating in Syria.
Yeah, and obviously we're not the only ones involved there. There are all kinds of proxies that are involved there. When you look at this sort of big picture overnight, can you identify any outside country or group that benefits the most from what's happened over the last couple of weeks and then especially last night?
Sure. I mean, every adversary of the Iranian regime and what they call the axis of resistance, the legion of terrorist groups that Iran sponsors, are all hurt by this because they're so dependent on receiving Iranian aid through Syria and aid from the Syrian government directly. So this is a hellish scenario for the Iran-backed terrorist groups and the Iranian regime itself. Therefore, it does benefit Turkey, which I think is ultimately to our detriment, but it also benefits the U.S. and especially Israel, because even though a large chunk of the rebels are jihadists, Israel basically had a choice. They could either have Iran on its border, representing a strategic threat because Iran controlled the Assad regime, or they can have a more Somalia-type situation where you have all these fighting groups and they're busy fighting each other. So that's not a strategic threat. It's not the same thing as having an enemy nation against you.
Ryan, I'm curious about what happens next. Obviously, as what you laid out, Iran loses. They're the biggest loser in this entire equation. Syria is, I believe I'm correct here, population-wise primarily Sunni, and these rebel groups are Sunni Muslims. That pushes Iran and its Shia Muslim power grip over Syria out. But what you talked about the United States playing a role. How do we? I guess we will play a role, but how concerned are we that Syria falls down the path of so many other countries who lost a stabilizing force, maybe a malevolent force, but still a malevolent stabilizing force, into what we saw in Iraq? You know, chaos, civil war, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, jihadist, terrorism. Like, how concerned should we be that this is the future now for Syria and the potential to blow back on the United States?
No, I mean, the consequences, negative consequences are very, very real for us to consider because jihadists are recruited and get battle practice in scenarios like this, in civil wars. Then when the civil war is over, jihadists don't just stop the jihad, they look elsewhere. For the foreseeable future, a lot of that fighting is going to be within Syria, I think. I personally do not consider Assad to have been a stabilizing force because he did cultivate these al-Qaeda type elements, even as he fought them at times by promoting their ideology. A lot of American soldiers lost their lives in Iraq because Assad was helping the al-Qaeda elements go into Iraq and try to destroy the place. That's kind of the scenarios where you have these competing radicals, and really what the U.S. interest is going to be similar to what it has been, where we've had special forces in there working with Kurds, the rebel force I mentioned before, in protecting what it can of the oil and the gas and trying to keep down ISIS and stop them from reforming, which is a possibility. And I think that could expand to trying to counter HTS and the other jihadist rebels, because you don't want them to get control of the entirety of Syria and those resources either.
What kind of risk is there that this just destabilization that Will was talking about could expand beyond Syria? Are you concerned about that?
I am. I think that there's a strong possibility it could expand into Lebanon because Hezbollah is there. And I think that the jihadists who have fought this long civil war, and the non-jihadists as well, against Assad are not going to be too happy with the idea that a lot of these Hezbollah war criminals have gone over to Lebanon. So I could see it spilling over to there. HTS, I mean, the official name of the organization means the Organization for the Liberation of the Levant, which refers to countries outside of Syria, refers to the whole neighborhood. So ideologically, even though they try to make it sound like they're just pure Syrian nationalists and that's all they care about, it's just a strategic move. It's just PR.
Okay. So you get it. It's an Islamic takeover and
I want to point out
already dictatorship regime.
Wicked Psyched here in the chat kind of stole my thought from my own head. Or we were having the same thought at the same time. She says, why do the elites, establishment, and Build Back Better crowd want world war so badly? I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, okay, so what was it last week that we covered? Hey, everything's fine between Israel and Hamas now. Like, we're good in Palestine. Like, Palestine's done. Okay, shelve that. Now you need your next thing, right? And so when you're looking at the Middle East, it just seems a little coincidental that every time we turn around, there's another war popping up. There's another destabilization popping up. There's another overthrow happening. It's like they always move on to their next fix. They always move on to their next thing that they're going to do. So, you know, I'm just saying, like, I don't trust this whole thing. I get Trump saying stay out of it 100%. I'm there, stay out of it. But you can't stay out of it from a world ramification standpoint. Like, we have to understand what this is going to mean. And we also need to understand who is behind it. I'm telling you, Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu, looks very happy about what has happened here and pretty much admitting we might have helped out a little bit. Is the United States responsible? Are we ever not? Like, that's the question you have to ask. And so you may see these rebel forces coming in and it's the rebel forces. Guys, we all know what happened on January 5+1. Like, we all know what happens when people get funded. You know, you do understand that the Ukraine war would not be happening if we weren't funding it and sending weapons. Like, they can't fight Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I would take it so far as to say that these rebel forces really can't do what they pulled off by themselves. They can't.
Right. Yeah.
So who's behind it? It's not organic.
So I guess Biden is huddling with his national security team today to sort out the mess in Syria.
Of course he is.
What's the U.S. game plan? Stop ISIS from making a comeback, protect its allies in the neighborhood, and prevent the kind of humanitarian disaster that ends on the front pages. Yeah, well, I think they're just cheering it on. There is no Syrian revolution. There is a CIA-run counter-revolution. They sound the same, but are complete opposites. Syria has lost its sovereignty to competing gangs of Turkish and Israeli-backed jihadist mercenaries who are united in their hate for religious minorities. A dark day for humanity. It's kind of a dark day around, but it's not all dark, is it? So Trump and everybody in the entire world went to church.
They went to church.
The word cathedral is a beautiful euphemism for church. It's church. It's a 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 cathedral. So Michelle Obama just so happened to be on a little tour on a boat while Notre Dame was burning. Very interesting. Just so happened. And we still don't know why this church caught on fire randomly. Just so you know, churches don't normally just randomly catch on fire, but they do in France.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a whole episode, I don't know if you guys remember this, recently, where I was talking about the secular takeover of France to the point during the French Revolution, they outlawed all religion and they took over the churches, and you would have to attend them as the church of non-church, the church of the state. Okay, so France doesn't really have a good relationship right now with, religion, I would say.
Did they ever?
Yeah, they did. It was
what
a
I
Christian
mean
country.
is, you go back to even the French Revolution, and it's
but it was
very secular.
Obviously with all these cathedrals, it was a very Christian country, Catholic but Christian. I mean, there was a time when there was the 3 popes, Joan of Arc, all the different, it was just Christian. It's what it was. The centuries-old Paris landmark, Notre Dame Cathedral, reopened yesterday, 5.5 years. It's been so long, wow. After a devastating fire destroyed the spire and the roof and brought the entire Gothic masterpiece within minutes of collapsing. The 860-year-old medieval building has been meticulously restored with a new spire and rib vaulting. Its flying buttresses and carved stone gargoyles return to their past glory, and the white stone and gold decorations shining brighter than ever. The cost was about $740 million. The state hands over the building to the Catholic Church. The Archbishop opens the door and a liturgical celebration is held and singing in a blessing. And Trump, it's so funny. Trump got his armored Suburban. Zelensky got a minivan, which is hilarious. So we're going to play this. Trump shows up. Zelensky gets to the minivan, which is hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. More than 20 French government security agents were helping ensure Trump's safety alongside the Secret Service, according to French National Police. A special French police van provided anti-drone protection for Trump's envoy. And you got Macron reuniting with Trump and Zelensky, who is a very short man.
He is. And so you'll notice, and I don't know if you got this on there, but everybody dressed so nice. And Zelensky shows up in his sweatshirt.
It's a part to play, but he couldn't put a suit and tie on.
I mean, come on, you own a suit.
I'm embarrassed for him.
I'm embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed for him. I'm so embarrassed. It's like he has to play the part. It's humiliating. So here's Trump meeting Macron. It is an honor to announce that I will be traveling to Paris. This is Trump. France on Saturday to attend the reopening of the magnificent and historic Notre Dame Cathedral, which has been fully restored after a devastating fire, Trump said on Truth Social. President Emmanuel Macron has done a wonderful job ensuring that Notre Dame has been restored to a full level of glory. It will be a very special day for all. They shake hands very adamantly, and this is a beautifully decorated Christmas tree. We're going to show you this whole thing just because I find it funny to me. Here comes Trump getting out. He's going to shake it. There we go. Big shake. Ah. Yeah, don't do the kid. Oh, wow. We got the bro look. I'm going to get the smile. I'm going to get the that's a bro handshake thing happening here. It's so funny. Watch these world leaders with Trump. Oh, wait. Trump's like, wait, we're going to turn around and take another picture. There we go. It's weird. So weird. I don't know. Watching world leaders like this just gives me the heebie-jeebies. It just makes me feel weird. I don't know about you guys. Let's see. We're going to go to that in a minute. Oh, wait. Where are we? Oh. Hang on. There was another one I wanted to show you. Macron in the... Nope. Where am I? Here. Put me back to the main screen so I can find the ones I want. I gotta close out a bunch we've already done.
Well, so I can't find this one, and I'm trying to find it. Scott sent it, and I don't know. I can't ever pull up telegrams, and I can't find it on Twitter. I can't find it anywhere, but it's a phenomenal video of the restoration process and the people that have worked on it. It's like I want to find
it on YouTube.
I looked on,
just go on YouTube.
I went to YouTube. Well, I went to the internet and I can't find it.
Put it on YouTube. Restoration process.
And it's like it's so cool to see all of the. I mean, the fact that they did this in 5 years is incredible.
Yeah. For sure.
On the far rightly, I do have those pictures of Michelle Obama, if you want to bring them up at some point.
Oh, do you want to?
To remind people.
Okay. So here we have Trump meeting with Zelensky here. And, no, Macron. I thought Zelensky was in with this one.
Heureux d'accueillir à nouveau le président élu Donald Trump à Paris pour cette réouverture de Notre-Dame 5 ans après. Il était président à l'époque quand le feu a pris la cathédrale, je m'en souviens. President, I just it's a great honor.
Here we go.
For French people.
I wanted this video specifically.
Well, I've got one. If you can't find that one.
That's fine. I can't find it.
But a consensus that the cathedral should be rebuilt as close as possible to how it was before eventually emerged from all the noise, and that view eventually prevailed. But rebuilding an 850-year-old structure in the 2020s isn't exactly easy. In fact, you'd be hard-pushed to imagine a tougher construction project than this. Teams here faced an unstable structure that's an icon of France on an island in the middle of a congested city with the eyes of the world on them and a clock that was ticking down to the Paris 2024 Olympics. There were challenges everywhere you looked. For one, you couldn't use the same stones the original building was made of because they came from quarries that no longer existed. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit, because before any of that, the building first had to be stabilised and made safe, and that process alone took 2 years.
Wow.
Those flying buttresses I mentioned earlier that were so revolutionary at the time and that helped give Notre Dame that huge soaring nave, also left the structure incredibly fragile in the aftermath of the fire. If just one of them were to give way, the entire cathedral could collapse. Repairing them was a careful and painstaking process. To ensure worker safety during this time, motion sensors were installed right across the Notre Dame ruin. They would be triggered by strong winds or any movement on the ground, and sound an alarm warning people to evacuate. To hold the buttresses in place while they were strengthened and rebuilt, timber decking was placed underneath them. That decking alone had to be custom made for each of the 28 buttresses, catering to their 28 unique forms. Workers could then go inside the church and stabilise the walls from the inside using scaffolding. To keep the rain out and create a safe, dry space to work in, a large tarpaulin was placed over the areas of roof that had burned away. When the fire ignited, restoration works were already taking place at the cathedral, and several layers of scaffolding surrounded the spire. When the spire collapsed, that scaffolding became twisted and melted, a tangled web of metal that weighed almost 200 tons on its own.
Oh my gosh.
With the church stabilised, that molten mess had to be removed. Half of the melted scaffolding was some 90 metres high, making access a complicated task. Again, before work started, sensors were placed here to monitor for any sudden movements and keep workers safe. A secondary temporary structure made of steel beams was then built across 3 levels above the melted scaffolding. Specially trained technicians then used that to abseil down on ropes, getting as close to the structure as they could. They would then cut away and collect the melted pieces of metal, removing them from the cathedral. Once that was done, a huge crane would lift the rest away. With that challenging step completed, work on rebuilding the famous spire could finally begin. The stool, the part of the building the spire sits on, was built in Briery, a city in northeastern France. Some 40 carpenters carefully selected oak trees for the 110 pieces of the stool jigsaw, perfectly matching it with that of the original spire. They then had to assemble it in their workshops to make sure every piece would fit before disassembling it and sending it on to Paris. With the stool in place, the spire could then take shape above it, rising to a height of nearly 100 metres. Across the spire and the nave, nearly 1,000 200-year-old trees were selected from around French forests. The new spire was crowned with a golden rooster, this time reimagined as a phoenix emerging from the ashes. It's a really nice touch that was intended to symbolise the rebirth of the church, and it's filled with the names of everyone who's worked on the restoration.
Wow.
That's interesting. I got another one. Here. So I guess this one is Trump, I think, saying save the churches.
Yes. We're going to go see the great rebuilding. I heard they've done an incredible job at the Cathedral of Notre Dame. That's right. It's like Glenn Beck in the background. We used to say Notre Dame, so we just say Notre Dame. But I'll be going, but when you, excuse me, well, yeah, I'm Irish, bro.
It's funny.
The restoration of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris to its former architectural splendour has taken more than 5 years and the work of 250 companies and hundreds of artisans. The first part of this colossal project was the cleanup of the debris and making the building safe following the devastating fire. Then in January 2022, the reconstruction of the collapsed stonework could begin. The arch of the transept crossing was rebuilt stone by stone, and from autumn 2022, the roof frame made of oak was replaced using 2,000 trees selected from French forests. The wooden frame of the spire comprises 1,000 individual parts covered in a fine layer of lead as designed by the French architect Viollet-le-Duc, who restored Notre Dame in the 19th century. At the summit of the spire there is a new golden rooster with relics which escaped the fire placed inside it. Integrated in the roof's new wooden framework is an automatic water misting system to put out any fires. The roof's framework has also been partitioned into 3 sections by 2 metal fire trusses. Inside the cathedral, the 8,000 pipes of the organ have been cleaned and the checkerboard floor has been relaid with new furniture installed. Blackened over the centuries and by the fire, the stained glass windows, walls and the 24 chapels of the cathedral have been cleaned. The Gothic jewel has recovered its magnificence.
Okay. It just kind of cut there. I don't know why. Talk about AI. This all looks AI. Are those real pictures? I mean, it's so stunning. You know, I mean, from a personal note, like, of course, I've never been there. I don't know, you know, I don't have a history with this. I don't have an attachment to it. But it is a world treasure, and I'm not convinced that the fire was, again, organic at all. especially given the fact that Michelle Obama just so happened to be there within watching distance of it happening.
No,
it's on the far right. It's far. There it is.
Okay.
But
So,
I am so happy. Like it kind of brings it full circle for us, you know, here in Resistance Chicks to see something go down on our show and then take 5 years. I mean, we covered it live. If we had our YouTube back, I could go and find the video where we covered it happening. Right. And so the fact that it's after 5 years of people laboring over this, I'm still in shock that they were able to pull this off in 5 years, even with all the people. Like, it's shocking to me.
Yeah, let's remember that this is about Jesus. And I'm just wondering, you know, just making sure that through all of that, that the focus is on what is a church supposed to be about? It's about the salvation of man's soul.
All right, so go ahead.
I mean, you can play this while I'm talking. This is kind of like but I need battery.
From the Paris-based Sciences Po.
Not that one. I know the YouTube's just automatically play. So
not that one.
I see it.
Yeah.
Nope, not that one either. There we go. Is this the right one?
I believe so.
Okay.
This is Tesla's worst nightmare. A new gadget is
quiet on set. All right, let's try this again.
So we're celebrating Christmas, and it's great that this is
another
open
commercial
right before Christmas. But the point of any celebration should be celebrating Christ. That's the most important thing. Is that it? And I can go upstairs and put it up. Okay. The lamb that was slain. This is Christmas time. This is the most important aspect of it. And you know, we can talk about Donald Trump all we want, and the little president of Georgia over there, who's we're going to talk about in a second, the lady there. But oh, that's really pretty.
There's not a concise video of this?
Not yet.
Like nobody's done a supercut of it? This is really need to turn it down.
Never has the cathedral been so magnificent.
This is the video I was trying to find. Just let this play. Finally see the iconic silhouette that we missed for 5 years.
It's in the shape of a cross, huh?
It is. And that's by design.
So comparing this to the blasphemous Last Supper that just happened at the Olympics. So they're...
Do this for
oh my gosh.
That's the problem with watching anything on YouTube.
I know. We're going to do this. We're not going to do this if there's another ad.
There will be more ads. You got all the cardinals there. And
their heritage of their faith. Dear faithful people of
there's an interpreter.
This building where our Father in heaven lives is yours.
Vous en êtes les pierres vivantes,
the living stones,
ceux qui vous ont précédés dans la foi, l'ont édifié pour vous. Les innombrables représentations et symboles qu'elle renferme vous sont destinés afin de vous guider plus sûrement vers la rencontre du Dieu fait homme et redécouvrir son immense amour. Par ailleurs, Notre-Dame sera bientôt de nouveau visitée et admirée par une foule immense de personnes de toutes conditions, provenance, religion, langue et culture, pour beaucoup en recherche d'absolu et de sens à leur vie. Je sais, Excellences, que les portes leur seront largement ouvertes et que vous serez attachés à les accueillir généreusement et gratuitement comme des frères et sœurs au témoignage de la communauté chrétienne. Puisse-t-elle percevoir la paix qui habite sa louange, pressentir la joie de connaître et d'aimer le Seigneur qui s'est fait par proximité, compassion et tendresse.
Interesting. So, you know, as a non-religious-y type person, it's hard for me to see the hats and the robes and all the things. And but anytime Christ is lifted up is better than not. And so, well done. And if you're in France, stop by.
So, Leah, do you have any of the photos up at all?
No.
From this? Mm-mm. All right. Let's do this. We're going to do...
There wasn't a lot on Twitter. That's why I didn't bring any up.
There wasn't a lot on Twitter? Did you put in Trump Notre Dame?
I did. I spent like about an hour. That's all I could come up with.
Well, you were far less successful than I was. So I want to show you guys this picture. It's everywhere. It's all over my Instagram. I don't know why it's not on Twitter. It's hilarious to me. So here is Donald Trump and
Joe
Biden.
Saw that, but I thought you meant pictures of the cathedral itself.
No, I mean all this. So I mean the actual story for me is yes, the cathedral. Love it. I'm so excited. It's awesome. World treasure saved. Awesome thing. What we are seeing here, and this is a story in and of itself. It's huge to me.
You didn't ask me for the Joe Biden Trump picture.
It's okay. I have other pictures too. I'll pull up some more in a minute. Joe Biden is not here.
Right.
Jill is here. Mm-hmm. Ashley Biden is here. Look at everyone is eyes on Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so many people are like, I think even Elon Musk there as well. Like people are sharing out pictures of like this and just putting the word alpha. Same thing with Elon. You've got Elon and Giorgio Meloni looking up at him, kind of smiling, and they put alpha, whatever. Something shifted after the election in November. And now Elon and Trump and his whole team of whatever you want to call these people are taking over the global stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so Trump walks in essentially like a boss, and he's the man that everyone wants to talk to now. You can't help it. Like, you can't help but like, it's been 4 years, Leah, since Trump has been at any of these global parties, is what I'm going to call them.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been watching Joe stumble and Jill holding his hand and all this, that, and the other. And so let me pull up this other one. This is a picture of everybody kind of note that was there. Pull up. Oh, it's in my screenshots here. I had to take a screenshot of some of these, but you're seeing the fact that like Joe is done. There's no more Joe Biden here. It's just, here's Trump on the stage with the world leaders. Like, that's how it is now. Trump hasn't even been inaugurated yet. He's not going to be inaugurated for a month and a half, right? And yet here Trump is already essentially taking the position of president on the world stage.
And Jill.
And they're treating him
And
as
the
such.
proxy
And the
Jill.
fact that it's like, okay, well, here we'll have, it's kind of like half, like send Trump and Jill. So you get like half and half. And then, Leah, do you have any of the pictures or meeting of Trump meeting with Zelensky? And I know you
we already did put that up.
Did you put that up?
Yeah, remember we said he's shorter and we talked about how he's wearing
That's
a
right. I
sweatshirt.
forgot. I'm just, this whole thing, this is a news story. Like, this is the first time where you're seeing Trump taking the global stage again, like things like that. That would be.
Well,
like,
that's my next story. That's a whole story in and of itself.
Okay, let's go there.
Okay, so in the end of October, the pro-European Georgian president Salome Zurabichovi,
don't even try. Just
whatever.
say.
That's not the one you want.
Okay.
It's this. Trump doesn't look very optimistic.
Okay.
It's a whole story, so you're going to see a lot of Salome. She is actually French. She was the ambassador from France to the country of Georgia. She is an election denier. She is holding on to her position, and she lost. And she's going to go make her move, her alpha move with Trump here. Go ahead and play it. And she's trying to make her alpha move all over the place. She started as French ambassador to Georgia. She became president of Georgia after getting a Georgian passport. Seriously. Meet Georgian President Salome Zurabichovi.
There you go.
Born French citizen, later she got her Georgian citizenship. She previously worked in NATO Brussels, worked at the French embassy in Washington. She is an ex-student of Brzezinski. She worked as a foreign minister for the U.S. and the EU. She is clearly a foreign agent acting now as a Georgian president. And she is an election denier. If you go to the left, Salome was born in France. She never visited Georgia until she was 34. Didn't become a Georgian citizen until she was in her 50s and only renounced French citizenship in 2018. She's currently the president of Georgia. Even in our Africa, it doesn't make sense. She's posting pictures. She's trying to sweeten up all the leaders. She posted a picture here. This is her posting this out from her Twitter. Had a great meeting with Elon Musk. You should probably close out some of these so that
I did.
While you're doing.
But if I close this out and I go right to the YouTube, are we ready
yeah, that's
for
fine.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is her and Zelensky holding talks.
Thanks so much. How are you?
And so she's the puppet in Georgia, I guess, that they want to keep. Okay. So who is the Georgian president here? As protesters confronted massed ranks of riot police in front of Georgia's parliament last week, this is from December 3rd, a slightly built woman picked her way through the crowd. At a moment of national crisis, President Salome Zurabichovi had decided she needed to be with the people in the streets. Placing her hand on a riot shield and one of the black-clad helmeted police officers, she appealed to their consciences. Your duty is to protect the statehood of this country and its citizens. It is not your duty to disperse the people. Are you serving Georgia? Let's see.
I think it's fascinating when they deliberately put these proxy people into.
Are you serving Russia
power.
or Georgia? She says that Russia has interfered in their elections. Do you not answer to your president? Do you not think about your future, your country, your children, even your ancestors? Remember, she's French. The encounter was preempted by the ruling of Georgian Dream Party's announcement a few hours earlier that it was suspending efforts to join the European Union and renouncing any EU financial support until 2028. It said the move had been prompted by a cascade of insults from the EU. For Salome, it was a betrayal of Georgia's European destiny and a sign that the country, once part of the Soviet Union, is slipping back, quote unquote, under Russia's influence as part of a hybrid war being waged by Moscow, they're saying. Something the Georgian government and Kremlin deny. The standoff, closely watched by Russia, the United States, and the EU, marks a crossroads in Georgia's modern history as thousands of protesters confront police each night in the capital. And you can play. This is the 11th day of pro-EU protests has started in Georgia. The crowds are moving towards the parliament in Tbilisi. This is from just today. I'm trying to figure out everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. Somebody says, I don't understand what's going on. They're marching to end their independence. The American cannot understand why they would want to do this. So I believe it was the Georgian election. Let's see, Georgia. I'm pretty sure it was.
You need to play this video first.
The EU. Which one is
this?
This
is the 11th day of protests.
Yeah, so those guys are protesting to leave. They want to stay. I think they want to join the EU or leave the EU.
Let's look at the Twitter title. The 11th day of pro-EU protests has started in Georgia. The crowds are moving towards the parliament in Tbilisi.
So, demonstrations broke out after the Prime Minister postponed EU membership talks until 2028. So these particular protesters want to join the EU. They have dreams of joining the EU. But in October, there was a vote. And Georgia, and I think they voted not to become part of it. Georgia applied to be part of the EU in March of 2022 and became a candidate for EU membership in December of 2023. According to a poll by the Washington Post, which is funded, 80% of the people in Georgia said they want their country to become an EU member. In May, Parliament passed the Dream Party's Foreign Agents Bill with 84 votes. The law requires non-governmental. I'm trying to find out. She lost a vote in October, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck she lost. Because she's an election denier. Okay, here we go. October 26th election. Georgian president won't recognize parliamentary election result and calls for a protest. That's what I'm looking for. That was the chick who shook Trump's hand. Georgia's president said Sunday she did not recognize the results of this weekend's parliamentary vote, which election officials say was won by the ruling party, adding that the country fell victim to a Russian special operation aimed at moving it off the path towards Europe. Standing alongside opposition leaders, President Salome urged Georgians to rally. She spoke after the election that could decide whether Georgia embraces Europe or falls under the sway of Russia. This election cannot be recognized because it is the recognition of Russia's intrusion here, Georgia's subordination to Russia. The Central Election Commission said on Sunday that the ruling party, the Georgian Dream, got 54.8% of Saturday's votes, with almost all ballots counted. The Georgian Dream has become increasingly authoritarian, quote unquote, this is from the AP, over the past year, adopting laws similar to those used by Russia to crack down on speech, quote unquote. Brussels suspended Georgia's EU membership process indefinitely because of a Russian-style foreign influence law passed in June. Many Georgians viewed Saturday's vote as a referendum on the opportunity to join the European Union. The election campaign in the South Caucasus nation of 3.7 million, which borders Russia, was dominated by foreign policy and marked by a bitter fight for votes and allegations of a smear campaign. So Salome suggested that Russian elections were held in the country and said technology was used to whitewash counterfeiting. Such things have never happened before. And so I'm guessing what happened was there were parliament votes like we have congressional votes.
Sure.
And this Dream Party, which is anti-EU, won. Salome, the one here going around trying to be pro-EU, is saying, I'm not accepting the results of that particular election. And she's going
to go ahead and try and join.
We want to still join. Now, this is, on the heels of this, is another, like a right-wing surge in Romania, where actually the far-left judges are annulling an election where this guy here, let me see his name, won 63% of the votes, Calin Georgescu. And I want to play a couple of videos and show you why. He is another quote-unquote Russian interference winner. And I want to play a couple of videos for why the left and the globalists don't want him. So if you are elected president,
hang on, let's rewind this.
Will you be okay with the transit of Ukrainian grain through the territory of Romania? You can mute it. How would I be okay with it? This is impossible. On the first place is Romania and the Romanian people. Only what is advantage? The Romanian people and nothing more. It's unimaginable what next to us can be a war in the middle of Europe. So a proxy will be categorically to stop this war in Ukraine urgently. A strategy of peace is the only strategy that I know, and I will apply it at home and abroad. Will you agree for Romania to continue training Ukrainian pilots? If I wasn't okay with what I told you before, how could I be okay with this? If NATO is defensive like they used to say, they should remain defensive. I believe one single thing. Romania has no obligation towards no one, period. He's a boss. Wow. He's a boss. Okay, there's more. Romania is... Okay, go ahead.
Hang on, it's really loud. The UN agenda is the same with Davos agenda. Mm-hmm. This, in fact, is my main topic for our conversation today. For this reason, this the world oligarchic system, they have the power on Europe because they control all the people like Bundeskanzler or president or prime minister or whatever there are. So for this reason, sorry to interrupt you, the situation with Donald Trump was a big shock.
They didn't expect that to happen. That was an accident, I suppose.
Absolutely an accident.
Not part of their game plan.
It was the first time of the oligarchy system was happened an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally you have to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And the process which we are dealing now with this pandemic and all these liars was supposed to be in 2016.
They were pushed into
exactly
early
in
start.
a sense to be in 2020 to be a disaster regarding food and water.
Ah, I see.
Which normally they want to arrive in 2025 now.
I see.
So the plan was a little bit changed, and for this reason, of course they will not succeed. This is clear. I mean the system is almost down. Mm-hmm. It's but of course there are the last moments, and we have to have the courage now, all of us, to say no. In a sense that UN could be a fantastic, can have a fantastic role, but is not, because it's totally under control of the oligarchs. Mm-hmm. The problem is that these oligarchs, all of them, are related with the system of the pedophilia one.
Okay, it's so hard to hear him, and I want to make sure that you're not missing this. He's saying that NATO could be great if it weren't for the fact that it's run by all of these oligarchs. And the oligarch system is overrun with pedophiles. He just said that. Like, so this is why, like Leah's writing this out on Twitter, this is why the globalists don't want this guy to be the president of Romania, and the leftist court has tried to overturn the presidential election. So I just want you to, because of his accent, it's so thick, you might have missed that's what he had said.
Because we know that there are more than 8 million children per year which they disappear. 8 million does mean the entire population of Austria. Mm-hmm. They disappear without any information, mm-hmm. simply like that. And this is the transhumanism. Mm-hmm. So this
well, there you go.
Criminal act is...
oh, I could listen to that all day, actually. Love that guy. Okay, come on. I'm telling you what, Romania's leftist high court overturns their presidential election without explanation after far right-wing candidate pulled off the upset. This man is the rightful winner. We are seeing a 2020 all over again. You can't let that guy be president of Romania. Are you kidding me? Like, of course you can't. Like, I get it. I you know what, globalist people, I understand. I sympathize. I empathize. I feel you. I get it. You just couldn't. It's too much. It's too much for you. It's too much truth. It would expose your whole...
There's one more. Yeah.
Monopoly.
I just want to be clear. You're saying that some European leaders and NATO officials came together to put pressure on the Romanian establishment to stop your campaign because they don't want peace.
Exactly. They need war. And they're looking only for war. The Constitutional Court of Romania, I want to be very clear from now, is a mafia court of Romania.
Wow.
Because they cannot accept, and 9 people, because the court is a function of 9 people. 9 people decide for 19 million of people. This is not accept. This does mean coup d'etat, made by the state, which is installed right now in power in Romania. But the power has only Romanian people and our soul. It's impossible to change this. This is for sure. We don't give up. We don't stay just to wait what they are doing. And I'm absolutely convinced that this situation will be changed very, very soon.
And there's one more here. This is from our friend over David Sorensen at the Stop World Control.
Dragii mei.
You have to
All right,
read
hang
it.
on. My dears, we are in the Christmas fast.
Suntem în postul Crăciunului. Iar astăzi
And today is St. Nicholas Day.
Sfântului Nicolae. În această zi,
On this day, the Romanian state took democracy and trampled it underfoot.
democrația și-a călcat în picioare. Decizia Curții
Today's Constitutional Court decision
reprezintă mai
is
mult
more than a legal controversy.
controversă juridică. Este practic
It is basically a formalized coup.
statul de drept.
The rule of law is in an induced coma, and justice, subordinated to political orders, has practically lost its essence. It is no longer justice, it is by order. In such a state, there is no justice. But in practice, we are talking about a sham that betrays the principles of democracy. Democracy is not negotiable. The power of the people is the foundation of the democratic state, because to be sovereign is to respect the choice of another and valuing universal suffrage. Together with the Romanian people, we have done what we promised, which is history. The Romanian people demand their rights today. The vote is the symbol of democracy because united around the truth, we are stronger than ever. It is time to show that we are a brave people who know that the destiny and the rights of the Romanian nation are in our hands. Our democracy is under attack. We see around us party leaders trembling with fear. They're scared of losing power and privilege. That the files are coming out that will expose them, that they'll go back to the insignificance from which they were lifted. Basically, on this day, the corrupt system in Romania showed its true faiths, namely, it made a pact with the devil. I, Călin Georgescu, have only one pact with the Romanian people and with God. With our vote in the first round, we have exposed the corrupt and mafia system and found our strength as a people. Today, we are more aware than ever of the power that lies within each of us, singularly and collectively. The Romanian people do not give in. We love, with love, truth, and peace in our hearts, we will build our destiny together. Please be confident, be brave, and remain faithful to our common ideals. Continue to act for a Romania run by the people and for the people under the protection of God. Today is just the beginning of a new page in the history of this country. A page written by dignified people, united people, beautiful people, strong and brave. The victory is God's, and we are only the means by which His will is done. Thank you. Wow, that was really powerful.
So who does it sound like?
Donald Trump.
No.
No, what I mean is, it sounds like Bukele.
Bukele.
Sounds like Bukele. But what I mean is, hang
Bukele.
on. I'm making a point here. He sounds like Donald Trump in
Doesn't sound like Trump to
No,
me.
you're missing the point. Yes,
Okay.
he sounds like Bukele, but Bukele hasn't
Trump
had
doesn't call out the pedophile elite Davos satanic
I meant in this speech.
Okay.
When we're talking about a coup that has happened against a president, okay? Bukele has never suffered that. He won and he won. He won again and he won again, right? Like, he was able to retain the votes of the people. There aren't that many people. Well, actually, there's probably a lot. There probably are a ton of people out there that should be president or prime minister or something.
Okay,
but
he
my
sounds
point
more
is,
like Bolsonaro.
I was just making the comparison of the fact that he's in a position. No, he doesn't sound like Trump. Trump doesn't talk like that. You're right. I guess I'm just
God, satanic pedophile wing. Like, that's what the Trump supporters want Trump to talk about. But he's not. Trump doesn't talk about the Davos elites and the
I was
globalists.
talking specifically about the fact that he's addressing the people after a coup.
Yes.
Okay. Like, that's devastating. I guess I'm just having some PTSD of myself, like, right, of 2020, and I'm putting myself in the shoes of these Romanian people, and it just reminds me of what happened. And so it's not like I wasn't saying he sounds like Trump. I guess my brain translated it. What does this sound like? It sounds like Trump in 2020, but no, he sounds like Bukele. He sounds like, so in that, there's good news. You can only defeat the devil when you use the power of God. And we suffered for 4 years because the power of God really wasn't used to fight what happened to us. And this guy is using the power of God. And so I am hopeful that Romania, that this is just the first of, their push. What happened in the history of resistance chicks, we're coming up on our 8th year, anniversary. That's January 1st. We're so excited to celebrate that with you guys. Our 8th year of resistance chicks. And over the past 8 years, we have come to you so excited when a Marine Le Pen or Geert Wilders comes and we're gonna win, and we watch the elections and right? Well, we've been in this long enough, guys. Leah and I have been here with you for 8 solid full years. Okay? And we've watched it turn around, right? We have seen Geert Wilders come into his rightful position in the Netherlands.
Right.
We have watched Marine Le Pen come into her rightful position, not really fully, but she's getting there, right? In France. And so I'm just like, everybody's got to start somewhere. So Romania's starting somewhere. Let's give it a minute. I don't know if I'm going to come back to you in 8 years and say, hey, Kaylin Gorgeschurenberg is, now rightful president of Romania, but it could. I mean, I'm just saying we're looking at a move forward where freedom and patriotism is winning, and it is advancing.
Okay, so in all, I look, there's like a tell you can hear in people's voices. We were excited because we thought that there was a Christian president, a prime minister in Australia, and it turns out that he was a lockdown globalist guy. I like Le Pen, but she's not full-on Christian, and she doesn't go against the satanic cabal and understand that we're up against satanic sex traffickers. Geert Wilders, he promotes the Christian way, and so there's a lot of good things. I think Geert Wilders was brought into a position of power by the prayers of the people in the Netherlands, like David Sorensen from Stop World Control, which you guys should be following him. He's great. And that there are a lot of underground Christians who are praying and making a move of God happen in the Netherlands, but the politicians don't. I think that Geert Wilders is a little bit blinded by his view of Islam, not seeing the globalist cabal of the big picture. Just a little bit. Islam is such a big deal to him that he doesn't see the bigger picture, that Islam is just a subdomain under the globalist cabal and what they use to control people, right? And when Bukele did the interview with Tucker Carlson and kind of, just kind of laughed to the side, it was like, we knew that we would win because we knew we knew when we were battling Satanists and witchcraft that we would win. You know, and we're battling just the globalists, and it's a battle of wills and who's right or who's wrong. But he knew that when he was taking on MS-13, he's like, I knew we would win because it was satanic. I knew we would win because it was satanic, and we're Christians, and he's filled with the Holy Spirit, and I guarantee you he speaks in tongues. And so he's got a room full of people speaking in tongues, and he's like, that's how we're going to win, right? Melee doesn't have that.
No.
But Bolsonaro has a Christianity, but he's not spirit-filled, that I can tell. But Bolsonaro has a bunch of spirit-filled people praying for him, okay? And I've been asking the Holy Spirit to give us prophetic news, and this is a kind of a prophetic word, is what you're seeing, is that there's a bunch of Christian praying mamas and dads in Brazil, but they need to pray more, and they need to get the perversion out of their country, because they're known for the place where you go for your vacations and to get your, you know, your plastic surgery and stuff. And they need to repent of all of that, and being the beauty nation, right? They need to repent of that, because they've been kind of riding the wave of Christianity and being the beauty nation at the same time. And right now it's forked, and you can't have both. And the Lord is saying you must pick, right? So they're having to pick. Bukele, El Salvador isn't known for anything. They've got nothing to lose. You know, they're like, we want to do things good. We want to do things Christian. So God's allowing them to move.
They actually were known. They were known for their gangs.
Right. What I mean for anything good. Argentina, they were known as like this great, prosperous country, and they went downhill, and they need Jesus too. They do too much plastic surgery there as well. But that's a side note. It's just like worldliness is what I'm saying. But something is happening in Romania.
Come on.
And, we were talking to one of our viewers who came, and he, I think he got filled with the Holy Spirit. Ovi.
Yeah.
And he's from Romania. And he was talking about how it is a Christian nation. Like people, everybody kind of there is Christian-y, but they're not Christian. Like he didn't really know about like having a relationship with Jesus. So pray for Romania that people come to have a relationship with Jesus. But it sounds like this, how do we say his name? Is it Cullen or, Kalen. It sounds like Kalen here has a relationship with Jesus Christ to the extent that he's able to see the evil, he's able to see the cabal, he's able to see the wickedness, and he just kind of needs a little prayer to go over the edge to really start to call down the power of God. But he knows what he's up against. He knows he's up against a satanic pedo cult. And when you know that, then you really have the power of God on your side, and I'm really excited for him.
So before we move on to our next story, I want to say goodbye to the Bright.News people.
Bright.
I'm so excited that we're able to be over here on Bright.News, and I want everybody to go and find them. Bright, it's BRYT.news. That's it. That's all you have to type. There's no .com. It's just Bright.News, and go look them up and follow them. If you miss having Brighty on TV, because we all do, right? I think a lot of people were using it as their television, just watching 24 hours a day. They are now starting to stream people like Leah and I and Dr. Artis and Lee Merritt and Tom Renz and all of our friends. So really excited for them. And so go and find them, BRYT.news. And so thank you guys for tuning in on Bright.News. So I want to say goodbye to them before we move on.
Basically what they're doing, the producers, they're taking everybody's best shows of the week and putting them together.
And I'm sending almost all of our big shows over there. So we'll be running a lot more than what we were over there before. I think we had a Friday show and a Sunday show, but I'm going to be sending our Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday and Sunday show. So you guys are going to hear that name a lot, because we're going to send them the first 2 hours of our shows.
Awesome.
So, all right. Bye, guys.
Okay.
Now everybody else can stick around.
All right. So South Korea had something very weird and interesting happen this week as well. So the people of South Korea want to impeach their president. And the president didn't want to be impeached. So he actually instilled martial law, but then the people were upset with that. And then there was a vote on the impeachment, and his party walked out, so there wasn't a vote. So I'm going to try to go over this because it was a pretty big deal, especially in South Korea. Days after President Yoon Suk Yeol declared a brief state of emergency martial law, probably the shortest on record, an opposition party's attempt to impeach him failed when most lawmakers from his conservative ruling party boycotted the vote. The Democratic Party's move to impeach Yoon was thwarted on Saturday. This just happened by the president's People's Power Party, which announced shortly before the assembly session that it had decided to oppose the bill. Impeaching the president requires 2/3 majority of the 300-member assembly, or about 200 votes. However, the opposition party fell short of the threshold as members of the president's party largely abstained from voting. AP News cited the National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-shik who called the failed impeachment vote very regrettable and a national embarrassment. The Wuhan is something on the menu this week, I guess. The
Leah.
Wuhan wonton. I'm sorry. The failure to hold a qualified vote on this matter means we were not even able to exercise the democratic procedure of deciding on a critical national issue. Earlier in the day, Yoon apologized to the South Korean people for the emergency martial law, admitting he acted out of desperation.
Oh my gosh.
So sorry.
So we have angry South Korean citizens protesting the National Assembly failing to impeach.
Yeah. They want him gone. I'm still trying to figure out why. There are worries he won't be able to serve out his remaining 2.5 years in office because his leadership took a huge hit. Many experts say some ruling party lawmakers could eventually join opposition parties in efforts to impeach him. So there's tens of thousands of protesters. It's a very big deal. And I have been trying to figure out what they're mad about. Okay, so...
Did you just find one?
No, I have this up, and I'm still trying to figure it out. We're figuring out this
together.
Yes, we go together.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Let me read it. The president of South Korea expected an impeachment from the opposition. 2, to prevent that, he declared martial law, banning all political activity. 3, the Korean army came and closed off the parliament to prevent MPs to come in and vote. 4, Korean MPs climbed over the fence and made their way to the parliament, breaching the block. 5, the special forces tried to storm the parliament to stop the, quote, political activity. 6, the parliament was as able to vote, and they voted unanimously to lift the martial law and lift all restrictions.
Read from mine. And so they can see this while you're talking.
7, the army did not know what to do first, decided to abide by the parliament, and left. 8, martial law will remain in place in South Korea until the president issues a decree to lift it, which has now been lifted. The president is constitutionally obliged to lift martial law after a decision of parliament. 9, the South Korean president is expected to be arrested and impeached, according to media reports. The opposition and the people won by sneaking into the parliament and voting. Wow.
So I don't know exactly what's happening because obviously he's still there. I don't know if anybody knows why they're upset.
국회의원들은 자리를 지키고 있습니다. 국회 본회의장에서 대기를 하고 있습니다. 이재명 민주당 대표도
We're reading this for ourselves. Do you want to read it?
I will keep my seat. They are saying that martial law will be lifted in the National Assembly for now.
If it is unanimously passed, yes, it is. This is from before, though. This is in the past.
So I don't know if this one explains what's going on or not.
Let's hope it does.
They wanted their president punished, but his party had another plan. Saving him from impeachment. They claim it was through sabotage. Most PPP members boycotted the vote.
What you're seeing and hearing here is real frustration and anger. They believe that the politicians in the building behind me have put their own cynical ambitions ahead of their democratic responsibilities. But they are determined and convinced the president will eventually have to go.
I think they are crazy. I think they are standing for the president, not for the people. They have to change their mind to support the people of the South Korea.
They don't do anything to correct the president's mistake. So I'm so angry, and I think we have to protest as possible as we can.
As images of democracy go, this was pretty damning. Rows of empty chairs, most of the ruling party unwilling to sit in judgment at their leader's decision to declare martial law this week. One of the few who did got a hero's reception, only to reveal later he was backing his man. The leader of the opposition looked deflated.
What's your reaction to the vote, sir? Are you disappointed?
You're speaking English, lady.
What they do want is a second vote.
The president has broken the constitutional responsibilities, and he should step down and should be indicted.
He has at least finally apologized.
I am very sorry. I sincerely apologize to the people who must have been very surprised.
The head of his party insists he will now push for his orderly resignation. But for many, that's not nearly
The Korean
enough.
people have been frustrated by the Yoon administration, especially its continued lack of transparency and subverting of justice. The administration has failed to provide adequate explanations for the government's inability to prevent the deaths of at least 159 people in the Itaewon on Halloween in 2022, and has yet to hold accountable those responsible for this tragedy. Recently, public distrust in the government deepened further after President Yoon blocked a special investigation into the death of Lance Corporal Chae Sung-gum, which included an alleged cover-up by senior military officers and suspicions of his own interference in the case. Also, given his declining approval ratings, it is clear that President Yoon has become politically isolated from the public. Furthermore, President Yoon rejected a bill passed by the opposition-led National Assembly calling for a special prosecution investigation into his wife, Kim Kon-hee, who faces multiple allegations, including falsifying a resume, manipulating stocks, receiving improper gifts, and wielding undue political influence. Moreover, he has failed to win over public support. The Yoon administration's proposal to drastically increase medical school admissions has sparked fierce and ongoing conflicts between doctors and the government, undermining the country's healthcare system. All of these factors and others, I'm guessing just corruption in his family.
It looks like corruption is going to be your main complaint.
He was never very popular to begin with, and they just want him gone. Just gone. But
I kind of agree with the synopsis that they'll probably get what they want. It seems like him coming out, and this is a very Asian thing to do, like to come out and have to apologize and all of that. Like,
so the Kremlin is trolling South Korea because they're pro worms and guts, I guess, in North Korea. The Kremlin is a fresh Wednesday statement appeared to engage last Wednesday in a bit of trolling of South Korea and its Western backers like the U.S., following the prior day's wild and short-lived martial law. North Korea's concerns over its security are understandable given the political instability in the South, said the spokesperson from Russia, Maria Zakharova, and somewhat ironic given the West constantly stresses the real threat and source of regional instability is actually in North Korea. Her comments sought to emphasize the unpredictability of democracies supported by Washington. In my opinion, many have understood why the DPRK of Korea is so concerned over its security. So, Russia, you're not going to get any, and you're not going to get very many people on your side over, because North Korea is just bad. Okay, it's in the game of like Monopoly, like it's the purple. You don't know, it's the one you don't want, like you don't want. Is it Baltic Avenue or something like that? You just
usually
don't want
the utilities.
And I guess South Korea's former defense minister is arrested after the martial law.
Play it.
Prosecutors have arrested ex-defense minister Kim Yong-hyun over his alleged role in President Yoon Suk-yeol's declaration of martial law. It comes after the opposition failed in a bid to impeach Mr. Yoon. East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood joins us now from Seoul. Hello, Kathleen. A little quieter now where you are. How did the vote proceed?
Okay, we heard all about that. So that's what's happening in South Korea. But speaking of Russia, your buddy and mine, Tucker, went to Russia during Christmas time, which my mom was like, I go to Russia for like 2 weeks during Christmas. And I was like,
It's the one other country we've been to out of all of them in the world.
All the countries in the whole world.
We've only ever been to Russia and the United States.
Yeah.
In the weeks...
Hang on, let's turn you down, Tucky.
He's trying to stop World War III or something.
Since we left Russia, Moscow, where we are now, in February after interviewing Vladimir Putin, we've watched from the United States as the Biden administration has driven the U.S. ever closer to a nuclear conflict with Russia, the country that possesses the world's largest nuclear arsenal. It has accelerated ever since, and it's reached its apogee so far in the weeks after Trump's election. He is now the president-elect. In that time, just a few weeks ago, the Biden administration, American military personnel launched missiles into mainland Russia and killed at least a dozen Russian soldiers. So we are, unbeknownst to most Americans, in a hot war with Russia, an undeclared war, a war you did not vote for and that most Americans don't want, but that is ongoing. And because of that war, because of the fact that the U.S. military is killing Russians in Russia right now, we are closer to nuclear war than at any time in history. Far closer than we were during the Cuban Missile Crisis. That would mean the elimination of Russia, the United States, and most of the rest of the world. We felt there must be someone behind the scenes in Washington working to make sure that this conflict doesn't become a nuclear holocaust. But we found out that no, in fact, there is nobody. Tony Blinken, the current Secretary of State, cut off all contact between the U.S. and Russian governments. There is no back channel, there is no conversation, and there hasn't been for more than 2 years. That's shocking. Meanwhile, most Americans have no access to any perspective other than that granted to them by NBC News and the New York Times. They don't know how close we are. They don't know the Russian perspective. We've been trying for over a year to get that perspective out to American news consumers. We've also tried for over a year to get an interview with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. We've attacked that from a bunch of different angles. We've spoken to a lot of different people around him, had dinner with them. We've been in talks continuously, and those efforts have been thwarted by the U.S. government. The American embassy in Kiev, which our tax dollars pay for, told the Zelensky government, no, you may not do the interview.
Wow.
You can talk to CNN, you can't talk to us. So we've been unable to speak to him. So we came back to Moscow yesterday to interview the foreign minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, the longest serving foreign minister in the world. He's been a part of this government for 25 years. He's been in the diplomatic corps for over 40. And ask him, where exactly are we? Are we headed toward an unprecedented conflict between Russia and the United States? Is there any way to peel Russia back from the east, from the sphere of China, back into the west? Is that alliance permanent? And does the election of Donald Trump mean an end to this war, which is reshaping the world, the U.S. economy, the global economy, and risking the life of every person on this planet? Is that possible? We just walked out of that interview. It's absolutely fascinating. It's coming very soon. We hope you'll watch.
Oh, go Tucker.
So he's got another video of, he likes to do these and Russia is actually like this video.
Standing feature, maybe the longest standing feature of Cold War propaganda in the West was the Soviet grocery store. No products, no choices, shoddily made things. And it wasn't actually propaganda, it was real. And you can look up the pictures on the internet if you want. So we thought it would be interesting to take a look at a contemporary, modern day, 2024 Russian grocery store 2 years into sanctions. Here we go. All right, there we go.
Oh,
so I guess you put in 10 rubles here and you get it back when you put the cart back.
He's never been to an Aldi.
So it's free, but there's an incentive to return it and not just bring it to your home.
Oh my gosh, you've never been to an Aldi.
Okay. This is the grocery cart escalator. This is designed,
They have one at
I'm
Menards.
figuring this out now, where the wheels don't move, they lock on the grocery cart escalator.
They do that at
Look, Ma,
Menards.
no hands.
This is pretty big. This
Retail
is like a
placement
mall.
here is a little bit different. So it's like walking
This
through
isn't a grocery
Macy's
store.
to get to Whole Foods. Okay, we've gotten through the perfume section to get to the grocery store. So we're going to try and buy what a family of 4 would buy every week, and we're going to see what the
I guess you
selection
could've
is, and we're
gotten
going to see
one
what it costs. Now, Russia is famous for its bread, which is one thing I can assess pretty well. The low-carb lifestyle has not swept Russia. Thank heaven, because I mean, look at that. It's fresh, too. Look at that. Oh, come on. Unicorn and mini mills. All right.
No. Is he in the cookie aisle?
Some kind of Russian wheat cookies.
Tucker.
We need coffee, don't we? Yeah. I don't know if this is sugar or flour, to be honest with you. But,
You can
it
just
looks like a
feel the
staple,
difference,
so we
Tucker.
should get it. It's a very good-looking package. It's got to be flour, right? And this is Russian wine. It's from Crimea, which not only has the warm water naval base, but also is the source of most of the grapes in this part of Russia for wine. So it's apparently pretty good. Cheese puffs. You check out of a grocery store and you've got gum, razor blades, and candy. Actually, they hide the razor blades because we steal them. But these are all seem to be Western products. Mars, Twix, Snickers.
Oh my gosh!
Milky Way, Bounty, Gillette, Paul's Cough Drops, Mentos. It's pretty non-sanctioned to me, but what do I know? I went from amused to legitimately angry. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody hears from the United States buys groceries, and we didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually
It'd
eat
probably
over
be
a
about
week.
$150 here.
And
All
we
that.
all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought, corruption. If you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's
Shouldn't your
lives
prices
in their
go up
country,
with
and that's what our leaders have done to us. And coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway.
Looks like normal. Looks like normal, right?
I'm feeling
like
it,
more normal
Tucker.
than us.
Oh my god.
So then the one to the right is him interviewing. Tucker posted a clip of his sit down.
Lavrov.
Yeah. That's why he was there.
In the world, and we don't see any reason why Russia and the United States cannot cooperate for the sake of the universe.
But the United States is funding a conflict that you're involved in, of course, and now is allowing attacks on Russia itself. So that doesn't constitute war?
We officially are not at war, but what is going on in Ukraine, some people call it hybrid war. I would call it hybrid war as well, but it is obvious that the Ukrainians would not be able to do what they're doing with long-range modern weapons without direct participation of the American servicemen.
Michelle said the first.
So that was a very long and hard to get through interview. And my mom and I both kind of just listened to it while we were like doing stuff. The Russians, like, you can see them. They just want to sit down with cigarette and drink and just talk. They talk all night. We will talk. We'll talk deep. We'll talk every single thing. And I know Johnny down the street, and then this, and then this, and then they will put together all the things. I'm talking deep of the things. Okay, the problem with the Russians, if they are trying to do disinformation, because they're really good at adding all kinds of adjectives and things like that, they will take you on a rabbit trail.
Come on.
Right? And it's kind of like, how did we get here? I'm trying to listen to a deep conversation, and you're telling me that this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and your neighbor down the street, and then this, and then your cousin, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm trying to follow why we're here right now. Okay? And they're usually, that conversation was what it was like with Tucker. But I felt like they were talking about real stuff, but it was just like a lot of stuff.
No, but specifically that clip is the crowning piece of why he went there. He went there to find out, are we headed for World War III?
And they're like, no,
what's going on?
It's a hybrid war.
But he admitted it.
You.
No, hang on. He admitted, first of all, we are at war with the United States because it's very clear that that Ukraine wouldn't be able to do what they're doing with long-range missiles, etc., without America. And so he's saying we are in a hybrid war. He pretty much said the quiet part out loud, which is exactly what Tucker was going for. But Tucker wanted to know where are we going moving forward, which I don't understand why Tucker needed to know that, because everybody and their brother and their mother knows. I mean, this has been the accusation, which actually has some foundation of a basis of truth in it, that Donald Trump is friendly with Putin. So we have a Donald Trump presidency coming up. No, Tucker, we're not going to World War III with Russia. Trump is going to come in and fix all of that, at least that.
So, place to go when you need place to go. Russia. Assad is in Russia. Breaking news. Assad has been welcomed to Russia along with Edward Snowden.
There you go. I mean, I feel fairly good about it too. Like if I ever have to flee the United States, probably going to Russia or El Salvador. Those are my two top picks. If the CIA or the FBI wants to look for Michelle wherever she's at, it's going to be one of those two countries. If I have to flee and live in another country, that's where it's going to be.
Yeah, no, that's
because that's where I would feel the safest. You know. So,
yep.
Reminder: if you're watching live on Rumble, you can click the little subscribe button. Just click subscribe. And if you're wherever you're watching, click the bell, the notification, whatever. And if you're watching specifically on YouTube, please come find us somewhere else. Because you never know how long we're going to be on YouTube. We're on our third sidecar channel that's just barely back, and we're starting to live stream there. We did a whole show of regular stuff there on YouTube today. So we're going to see how that turns out. We'll see how long we can remain on YouTube. So it's Christmas time.
It's Christmas time in the world.
And everybody always asks Leah and I to do a song. We may or may not do a song at the end of the show. But if you do want to send us Christmas cards in the mail, I'm going to try being the operative word, to send one back to you. I do that every year. It may not get there till Valentine's Day, but I'm going to try. So P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air. Just be aware of that. Okay. And do you have any more other news stories?
No, we're done.
That's it. So last but not least, I'm going to remind you again, for those of you that don't know, you need to go. I'm extending the sale one more day, and I have to remind myself to actually do that because I have to go in and change the promo code because I have it expiring tonight. Shop.resistancechicks.com. I'm going to extend the 10% sale one more day because we had a whole half of a day that went down because of the website crashed. And so I thought it was only fair for those of you that tried to do something that day and missed it to do one more day of 10%. And actually, because I promised everybody that they would get an email when the store launched, and I haven't had time to do that. If you're subscribed to our emails, which you can do that at resistancechicks.com, they're going to get a special code to get one more week because I didn't get to. So whenever I get a chance to send them their email, they're going to get their own special code. It's not going to get announced to everybody else. You're only going to be able to get that through the email. So you can sign up for our emails at resistancechicks.com. So
secret.
The Resistance Chicks General Store is up and running and live, and I couldn't be more happy about it.
Bag full of packages to go out.
We have a bag full. We have a full bag of packages to go out, and we're going to fill another
like
one
Santa
today
Claus.
to go out. And it is a red and white bag, by the way. That goes. It's full. We need another one though. So I want to highlight a product today. The product that I want to highlight today is Leah's deodorant, and here's why.
That you rubbed into your pits today.
Because I rubbed it into my pits today, and I was like, it is legit the best deodorant, and it's for men and women, and it comes with a fancy little cap. Wait, you can hardly see that. But we've never done a bottom fill container before, but we did this time, which Leah worked really hard on. So it comes with a cap that's like, it's rounded like a real stick of deodorant, because it is. And it's so, like, every time I smell it, I'm like, oh, it's
special
awesome
to us, guys. These are things that
we've been using these for like 8-9 years.
It really does work. And our friends and family have said that it really works. Can you make me more deodorant? Like, I've just been making like small batches of deodorant every year, and it takes a little bit of work, guys.
It's for men and women.
I'll be honest. That's why we've never started a store. But
the question was asked about our scents. You want to tell them about that?
Yeah. So there is no scent, and I've gone back and forth on this because I really do like the melon cucumber soaps and stuff like that, right? But we just keep landing back on it's just going to be it just want it to be all natural. So when it comes to our soap, it's just lavender essential oil and lavender buds. That's what it is. And it has a scent to it, but mostly the reason why I call it Perfume Day Jesus is the way, because I use either lavender or tea tree in my products, it takes away your own stink so that who you are will be who you are.
People are not going to walk past you and go, oh, wow, you smell amazing. Like I'm smelling your deodorant, but they won't smell you. Now, if you want them to walk past you and say that that you smell good, you want the oil of joy.
Right.
Because then people ask me all the time, like, what the heck are you wearing? But here's the cool thing.
And it goes like this.
It's not overpowering. And it is for men and women. Both of these smells, I can't describe to you the goodness of it, but it's not girly. It's not fruity. It's just goodness in a bottle with the roller ball. So until tomorrow night at midnight, you can use promo code Grand Open at your checkout to save 10%. And so I'm so excited about this. Thank you guys for your patience. For those of you that have ordered.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support. It means a lot. Makes us feel good.
Not too many orders that we can't get them out, but enough to let us know you appreciate us.
Exactly. But even it was the first like 2 days, it took us a minute to catch up. And plus I was still getting in the routine of packaging, how we're going to package, how we're going to ship it. And then we had a lot of errors. So you guys have been amazing. You've made me feel so good. If you want to leave us a note when you do make a purchase, there's an option. You click on the button and it says leave note. And so many of you have done that, and it just makes us so happy. I'm like, oh, look at that. That's so cool. So it's a way for us to touch you guys. And just as a reminder, I'm not selling this aspect of it, but we're praying over all of your stuff before it goes. We see your name, and I'm lifting you up, and I've got worship music playing, and I'm just praying for you guys. Even last night, Leah was like praying over the packages. And so we're not just sending you packages just to sell stuff. This is a way for us. This is still a part of our ministry for us to take what we have, what God has blessed us with, and get it to you guys. So shop.resistancechicks.com, promo code grand open until tomorrow night. So Willie says it's not Christmas season yet. It is Advent. We are preparing ourselves spiritually for the second coming and to celebrate the birth of Christ. Christmas begins December 24th.
So the way that Catholics do it, you guys, and this is what I do. I like start now, and then I do the Catholic thing, like the 12 days of Christmas after that, because
I ain't taking down my Christmas stuff.
Regular, like, Protestant-y people, like,
Christmas ends on the 25th.
It's
I'm like,
over.
that's stupid.
But then I'm like, you guys have like your 12 days of Christmas. So it goes to like January 6th. And so I like it. So I'm just like soaking it all in, the whole thing. I was talking to a little lady last night. She goes, I don't know why people don't like Christmas. It's the best time of year. It's about joy and niceness and celebrating our Lord and Savior. It's really cute.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, so we're going to sign off. We will see you guys not tomorrow night because we don't have an Outliers, and we're going to be I have a lot of life stuff that I need to catch up on because we've been so busy with the Resistance Chick store. I have to actually pay bills.
Goddamn.
That's important. We've got plenty.
Gotta keep lights on
all y'all
because
do.
guess what? We didn't pay our water bill.
That
and
was
they
an
turned
accident.
it off.
That was an accident. That was a clerical error.
It was 2 weeks late.
They ain't messing over there.
It was 2 weeks late, but it was a bigger bill because we had a drought and we just watered every day. And I talked to the water guy who came by.
It was a $400 water bill.
Yeah, but that was because there was
and the water guy was like, we never
3.
turn water off after 2 weeks of it.
It was actually 3 something, but then they put all these fees. And like I talked to the guy, I was like, it's only 2 weeks. Like, what's the deal? And he's like, 2 weeks. And he's like, they just randomly do it. Usually people like 2 or 3 months. 3 months are behind. It was really
I just
funny.
think it's funny because that day, this goes back like 3 weeks. Patriot Gather comes and she's like, did we forget to pay our water bill? The water's turned off. And to this day, I think that's odd because the water gets shut off probably once every 6 months around here for them to work on stuff. So the fact that she went straight to, did we pay our bill? I'm like, are you feeling poor, Mom? Like, is there something wrong? Like, I don't know. It's so funny. Patriot Gallery says, okay, every day is Christmas here. Amen. Yeah. Hilton says, my name is an Old English also. My parents forgot I am Welsh. That's awesome. You guys are amazing. KS in Poland.
What's up,
nice.
Poland?
KS, you're one of the ones that's been with us for a long time. Keep warm. That's awesome. And
they
so
it's
great for people to come back and actually find us still over here on the YouTube.
You can leave. We're gonna sing a Christmas carol.
You're gonna start it.
Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie above thy deep and dreamless sleep. The silent stars go by, yet in thy dark street shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wandering love. O morning stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to men on earth. How silently the wondrous gift is given, so God imparts to human hearts
That's the blessings of his heaven. No ear may hear his coming, but in this world of sin, where meek souls will receive him still, the dear Christ enters in. O holy child of Bethlehem, descend to us, we pray. Cast out our sin and enter in. Be born in us today. We hear the Christmas angels a great glad tidings tell. Oh, come to us, abide with us, our Lord Emmanuel. Merry Christmas. Okay, we'll see you guys Tuesday.
Or Advent and do your fast thing, man. Whatever you got to do.
Whatever you want to do. We'll see you Tuesday for Healing for the Fractured Soul. In the meantime, we love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. You guys are amazing. You're the whole reason why we're here. We value you. We pray for you. I know everybody's been struggling a lot, whether it's an attack financially or emotionally, with work, with family, with sickness, whatever it is that the devil's attacking you with. You know that Leah and I are praying for you guys, and we're praying a blessing on you. When you tune in every single week, the entire Resistance Chicks family gets blessed and prayed for by Leah and I, because we know that it is a battle out there, but we are winning, and the kingdom of God is expanding. We'll see you next time right here from ResistanceChicks.com. I'm going to end with our ad. How about that? You ready?
Very.
We're not doing Jerusalem. Are you ready? I'm going to play the ad that they made for us at Bright TV.
The long wait is over and it's finally open. The Resistance Chicks General Store. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Sisters Leah and Michelle Svensson have been making their own home, health, and personal care products for well over a decade, and are now bringing you everything you've been asking for, like the Oil of Joy Original Collection, deodorant for men and women, face and body soap, lavender oatmeal, homestead hands, face and body butter, Oil of Joy, soap products, and much, much more. These products are amazing and so good for your skin. We realize that many of our health issues can be traced back to the harmful chemicals and ingredients in most of the products on the shelves today. But even more than that, we believe that our Creator, God the Father, gave us everything for life and godliness, and He desires for us to work with our hands, to take joy in the gifts He has given us in this earth to enrich our daily lives. To learn more about all of these amazing products, visit shop.resistancechicks.com and place your order today before quantities are sold out. You deserve to treat yourself to the best spa day ever. You deserve the products from the Resistance Chicks Joy Collection, only at the Resistance Chicks General Store. Is any sick among you? Let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord, and the prayer of faith shall heal the sick.